Part 35. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 341. Amo Kyung's confrontation mission. At this time, countless people looked at the scene with smiles on their faces. It's finally Amo Kyung's turn, and I wonder how Amo Kyung will perform. Amo Kyung is already very strong, and if he has another containment object, he will only become stronger. Indeed, as long as there is a containment object, I feel that Amo Kyung can perform extremely well. Any containment object will do. I believe in Amo Kyung's ability, and I'm looking forward to Amo Kyung's wonderful operations now. At this time, countless people were discussing. However, at this time, Yibo brought bad news on the screen. Based on Amo Kyung's performance, even with a low score, he could pass, and then graduate and become a club member. Therefore, the difficulty is increased. Of course, this difficulty is not increased inexplicably, nor is it specifically targeted at Amo Kyung. It is because Amo Kyung wants to get the alpha medal that the difficulty is increased. Yes, captains of all generations want to get the first place to get an alpha medal. You have to pass this level, a level that increases the difficulty. However, it is said to the outside world that Amo Kyung wants to find the strongest containment objects and then engage in this confrontation mission with them. The others naturally look solemn, but Amo Kyung left after planting a nail in everyone's hearts. In this graduation assessment task, Amo Kyung's character is that of an 8-year-old girl, the kind who was kidnapped. She is often abused and beaten, and is just her father's money-making tool. It is to gain sympathy and let others marry her, and then, her father, sneaks into the victim's home to steal valuable things or money. And Amo Kyung's container is a black crayon. That crayon can tamper with the colors of all things. Then, it was gone. Yes, it's just the color that has been tampered with, nothing else has changed. This is the characteristic of this contained object. As for Amo Kyung's mission, she needs to follow her character, leave Kenya, and return to her parents. Of course, there is no need to really return to his parents, he only needs to leave Kenya, and Amo Kyung's mission will be completed. At this time, countless people were surprised when they saw this. Good guy, tampering with the color of everything? That's it? Just tampering with the colors. Seems like garbage. It's really rubbish. This is just the rubbish collection of things. How can I fight against this thing? Chris's container had some lethality, but what about Amo Kyung? Tampering with the color of everything? It's completely useless. An 8-year-old girl with a weak temperament, and the containment items she received were just rubbish with tampered colors. How could she fight against this? This is clearly the hell difficulty. It's indeed hell difficulty. I can't even imagine what Amo Kyung can do. Although just leaving the city counts as completing the mission, Amo Kyung, his father is an enemy, and there are other gang members outside, so he can't escape at all. Or did Amo Kyung take advantage of tampering with his own color to leave Kenya in camouflage? It's also difficult. As long as Amo Kyung dares to run away, his father will mobilize his power to catch him. If Amo Kyung still behaves abnormally, that guy might kill Amo Kyung and declare Amo Kyung a failure. This is going to be difficult. The character design is not good, the contained objects are not good, and even the personality is not good. How can this be done? Totally beautiful. Haha, just because there is absolutely nothing to do, I am looking forward to it even more. I really want to see what Amo Kyung does. At this time, countless people were discussing, and in the picture, Amo Kyung was also thinking about how he should use this containment object. He quickly tried it and found that the color of the containment object could be changed according to his will. In other words, he can paint on any object and draw anything he wants. Soon, Amo Kyung smiled and had a plan. It was obvious that after Mo Kyung determined the characteristics of the contained object, he started performing like crazy. Hey hey hey. Giggles. He lowered his head and smiled strangely. An 8-year-old girl's smile was simply terrifying. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes were scarlet, and her laughter was terrifying. Laugh, I must laugh, not cry. If I cry, he will beat me. His weird smile was particularly sinister and penetrating. Hey, 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 don't add random characters. Yi Bo saw the scene through the surveillance camera and was speechless. However, Mo Kyung ignored it. He drew the image of his parents on the wall out of thin air, and it became more and more clear, until in the end, it looked like real people. He was obsessed with it. She looked at her parents infatuatedly and murmured, "Mom, Dad, I miss you so much, I really want to go home, but I can't." He looked weak and pitiful. But then, his face changed and he became excited. His long golden hair turned black, and he murmured, "But I have lost a new friend. Her name is Carla, and she's going to take me home, isn't she, Carla?" Mo Kyung asked out of thin air, as if there really was Kara. However, he then replied to himself, yeah, I won't be separated from you again, Mother, Ola, Kara, we will always be together. Giggles. He smiled crazily, getting more and more weird. Countless people in the world couldn't help but begin to doubt Mo Kyung's mental state. At this moment, when Yi Bo saw this scene, he was startled for a moment, then frowned. Does this mean he regards the contained object as a friend? Oh, what's the name? Kara. Euler. Is this schizophrenia? At this moment, Yi Bo suddenly understood and understood completely. Mo Kyung is distorting his personality. Indeed, the original character design was too weak. Even if there was a containment object, he would only run away and not fight back. But if you twist your mind, for example, it would be much easier to split into a dark personality. And, most importantly, all of this seems to be excusable. Because Euler's character is that he is very young and has gone through a lot of torture. He was beaten, intimidated, living in a foreign country, and the people around him are all enemies. It can be said that the character of Mo Kyung is so miserable. How miserable, it was specially said. But it is really because of the misfortune that after suddenly gaining magical power and being obsessed with going home, it is normal for him to develop a dark personality. How strong is a black crazy loli who has no taboos? Yi Bogwan couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth just thinking about it. Well, this can't restrict Mo Kyung. However, he didn't stop it. This itself is within the regulations. At the same time, this is also the essence of the confrontation mission. Mo Kyung plays an ordinary person. What will happen if an ordinary person suddenly gains mysterious power? A personality change is a given. Mo Kyung's operation is actually a bonus. If you blindly respect people's character, you will end up inferior. So, soon, Yi Bo's eyelids trembled. Because, he saw that Mo Kyung had his father killed. When the guy came in, Mo Kyung had already decorated the room in a bizarre, eerie way, as if an abyss had opened. A deep black hole appeared. And Mo Kyung's crazy lowly personality directly grabbed the small wooden thorn and pierced his father's neck with a puff. Of course, he deliberately avoided the main artery. After all, this guy was also a peripheral member. But he never expected that less than a day after his debut, he would die. Then, Mo Kyung was alone, carrying a small skull bag, leaving the room with a smile, and headed to where he went to school. The so-called schooling is actually just a small local gang that the father found to imprison him. And Mo Kyung walked all the way there, and when he arrived at the place, he started to use those magically altered colors to fool him again. It's like there's some kind of curse. A few black indescribable things spread randomly, and if some black things appear on these guys, gradually spreading to the heart line. It is enough to scare them to kneel down and beg for mercy, and make Emokayan the boss. There is no way, who is not afraid of such a crazy girl, or a crazy girl who controls mysterious power. Although they were not injured at all, the red threads in their eyeballs, the white hair in their hair, the wrinkles and spots on their faces, and the gray stains on their skin and nails. Just looking at these, they felt like they had been raped. It's like a curse. Then who doesn't believe it? One by one, they all coaxed and flattered, for fear of not paying attention and provoking Kara. Emokayan naturally wanted to take advantage of these people's convenience to leave the place. However, if these people are not good enough, they have to find a leader. Ever since, Emokayan followed the same pattern and found a leader. After threatening him, the leader became his loyal believer again. There are bosses and bosses. Until finally, Emokayan finally found a boss. After showing some magical skills, and being disturbed by various hallucinations and intimidated, he was completely frightened and became Emokayan's follower. At this point, Emokayan started planning to leave. On the other side, people from the Blue and White Club also discovered Emokayan's murdered father. The death was miserable, the blood all over the body was black, and even the head was taken off. It was extremely bloody. You don't need to think about it to know that this is definitely Emokayan's doing. Immediately, Hwayanyuksan and the others began to investigate. Euler was quickly traced, 0. At this time, Euler was on the plane with the leader, and they had already been flying for a long time. It's just that I haven't left the place yet. Hwayan and others were shocked. Without saying a word, they contacted the captain, asked him to come down, and hurried to arrest Emokayan. Unfortunately, Emokayan made a clever move and blended into the crowd and left. Of course, before leaving, if you don't create chaos and attack the two security guards, you will just make the two security guards invisible. However, Emokayan can naturally solve the problem easily if he has that head by his side. But, as soon as it came, it was exposed. As for Emokayan, he naturally wanted to attract the attention of the Blue and White Society's people so that he could understand the Blue and White Society's information. In this way, he would have the smallest restrictions. What? How could an 8-year-old girl get all this scheming? Ah! An 8-year-old girl has no scheming skills, but a crazy girl can do whatever she wants. How about attacking a security guard? If she could, she would even want to massacre the entire airport. Are you trying to reason with a crazy girl? Laughing to death. Next, I and countless people saw Emokayan's operation, which was astonishing. After Emokayan left the encirclement and got into the car, he threw out his father's head, causing black lines and blood to spread around, and the crowd immediately panicked. It seems like something evil is coming. Not only that, Emokayan also dyed the clouds in the sky dark red, as if some terrible natural disaster was coming. It's like the end of the world is coming. Countless people were even more panicked. The key is, this is the result of Emokayan's restraint. If he hadn't, he could even make the whole city panic. The reason why he kept it was because of Yibo's request. After all, this is an exercise. If Emokayan really causes trouble, it will be difficult for experts to explain and refute the rumors. However, since Emokayan is restricted, Hwayan and the others will also be restricted, so that Hwayan and the others cannot kill Emokayan and can only capture him alive. After all, it is balance. In response, Emokayan smiled. This was the effect he wanted. Then, he asked the boss next to him to cause trouble and set a hotel on fire. Moreover, the fire that burned the hotel was still black fire. Fire is actually just ordinary fire, it just changes color. But when Hwayan and others saw it, they were really shocked, thinking that it was the immortal black flame. Even if it wasn't the immortal black flame, it was still a very powerful flame. Want to put out a fire? It couldn't be extinguished at all. As soon as the fire extinguisher was touched, the moment the white mist came into contact with the black fire, the black color began to spread onto the white mist of the fire extinguisher, and gradually spread to people. Now, no one dared to use the fire extinguisher, and everyone looked gloomy. Fortunately, Huayan thought of another way and threw a Molotov cocktail. The bright yellow flame burned, competing against the black fire. But the flame of the Molotov cocktail was too weak and was quickly swallowed up by the black fire. However, after seeing this, Kanan became enlightened and believed that only flames could extinguish the black fire, and she also thought that this was a containment object. So on 2.7, I waited for the flamethrower and started spraying randomly. Finally, the black fire was completely turned into an open flame. I went in and took a look. Well, the guy who started the fire was dead. Of course, he was not actually dead, but was judged dead by Yibo. Then, Huayan saw the phantom of a little girl floating into the sky with the black smoke. They hurried up to the sky again to chase the little girl's phantom. Mo Kayang, on the other hand, left the place without hesitation and got on the car, leaving the place without any hurry. After Mo Kayang left the city, Yibo sighed and informed everyone the mission is over. Huayan? Uxin? Yanwei? No, why is the mission over? Their differences. Understood, Mo Kayang's real body has now gone outside, right? Damn, I was deceived, Huayan said angrily. Alas, this containment object is too strong. Not only does it have black fire, but it also has phantom enlightenment. Instructor, how can we fight against these people? Some team members also said speechlessly. Powerful? What is he strong about? Yibo was so angry that he laughed. Huayan subconsciously said, isn't black flame strong? It can make people age quickly. If I hadn't thought of using fire to put out fires. What the hell do you think? Yi. Bo was speechless. That's what Mo Kayang made you think on purpose. He made up the characteristics. The black blood, the ink-red clouds, the black tentacles on the ground, the black threads, etc. are all the same. What the hell? What exactly is this feature? The most powerful containment object in history? Which one is stronger? Huayan said in surprise. Not the strongest in history, but the weakest in history. Yibo said quietly, the characteristics of his contained objects are just to tamper with the color of everything. Everyone? Just, this. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 342. Damn it, Mo Kayang is so beautiful. It made me laugh so hard, it was so awesome, my scalp went numb just looking at it. Tisk, Mo Kayang's misleading information is really outrageous. He said from the beginning that he would take the strongest containment object, and directly misled them. Who knew that the containment object Mo Kayang had was a waste? I can't say that. I can only say that Mo Kayang's understanding of the contained objects is really profound. Yes, his understanding of contained objects is simply incredible. I never thought that this thing could be used like this. Invincible, the trashiest contained object, coupled with Mo Kayang, can also become the most heaven-defying contained object. I always feel like I see the shadow of Wanjie in it. It's so outrageous. How did this brain grow? At this time, countless people were sighing, looking at everything that happened in the picture. But at this time, in the picture, with the end of the confrontation mission, Yibo also began to evaluate. Mo Kayang is naturally Tiangziu, and he got full marks. As for the others, haha, obviously, Yibo plans to train them again. Mo Kayang left the Darwin team, and the captain of the Darwin team was naturally handed over to Huayan. And those who followed Mo Kayang were naturally still there are Uxin and Yanwei. The three of them are from the same class, so they naturally have to leave at the same time. And after Mo Kyan graduates, Yibo naturally has to return to Extreme Island to lead the next batch of students. Of course, before that, Mo Kyan had to be sent to the headquarters to report first. And Mo Kyan also became the only club member to receive the Alpha Medal with excellent results. As for the headquarters of the Blue and White Club, in fact, it is not far from Meng Island. It is more than 800 nautical miles to the north. The location of the headquarters is called Suzhou. It is a piece of land in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Of course, it is not accurate to say that the land is only 2.09 million square kilometers. Speaking of which, it is actually a big island. However, this virtual continent is actually in a contained object. The contained object is a crystal ball the size of a football. From the outside, you can see a small island surrounded by sea water. This contained object is also very strange, only if it needs to be placed at sea, then, except for sea water, everything else can enter the space inside the crystal ball. No side effects have been found yet. Moreover, this internal space can also accommodate other objects, which is very convenient. Of course, this is still dangerous, and it would be uncomfortable if someone manipulates it. However, the real headquarters is not actually inside Suzhou, but outside Suzhou. In other words, Suzhou is just a part of the headquarters. Very soon. Quickly, Mo Kyan and others took a helicopter and arrived at the headquarters. It was a small island that looked like an eye, with 3 ocean currents running through it, leading to the center of the island. There was also a circular lake in the center of the island. A containment base has also been established on the lake, and a crystal ball is placed in the sea water in the base. There are people inside and outside. If something happens in Suzhou, outsiders can pick up the crystal ball as soon as possible. As long as there is no due to the contact of sea water, even if the Suzhou is closed, no one can enter or leave. The island is called Lanbei Island. Only after Mo Kyan set foot on this land did he feel how small this place is, and even, it's not as big as Meng Island. Blue and White Island is also divided into 3 major areas, namely North, Southwest and Southeast. One area is where the members live, and there are also people from the Scientific Research Department, Finance Department, General Affairs Department, Foreign Affairs Department, etc. stay on the edge. One area looks like a science and technology museum. There are many silver-white buildings. Through the glass, you can vaguely see people working inside. This is the office location. In the last area, there are 5 tall statues. Then the statues are 4 men and 1 woman. They all look young and the carvings are lifelike. They are the statues of past presidents. This area is generally used as a meeting place. The main hall next to the statue is the highest meeting hall. Usually there are gatherings of important events. All the time, it was here. And next to the statue, there was a high platform, which didn't look very high, not even as high as some buildings. But Yibo said that this thing is actually the roof of the world. Although it looks only 40 or 50 meters, in fact, this thing is 420,000 meters high. Of course, he can only feel it when he goes in. Only those who have reached the highest peak can come out and be seen by outsiders. The second-generation president became president on the 3rd day after climbing to the summit. Therefore, there was a rule later that before taking office, all presidents must first ascend to the highest mountain. Well, this is actually considered an inauguration ceremony. Mo Kyan looked at the highest mountain and wished he could go up there to have a look. Unfortunately, the square over there is not open to the public unless there is a serious situation. Soon, Mo Kyan followed Yibo to the building of the reception department. Yibo took them to sign the regularization agreement and got Suyu's own salary card. At this point, they were considered serious members. However, Mo Kyan is different from them. Mo Kyan is an alpha-level member. Although he only has an alpha level medal, he is still an alpha level member. As for Wanjie and Uxian, they can only be regarded as members of AZ Club. In the Blue and White Club, members are not only classified into different levels, but the information they can view at different levels is also different. The members of the Whiteboard Club can find very little information. A lot of information about the contained objects only has a name. The situation is different for members with levels, as they can see more information. Later, Mo Kyung also learned that formal members are lifelong members. However, when they are 40 years old, they can retire. At that time, they can do some second-line jobs or enter other departments. The headquarters gave Mo Kyung an alpha-level medal, and now he is a member of the Alpha team. And the medal was made of pure gold, about 10 grams. Value is one thing, but the most important thing is that this thing is a symbol of glory and merit. Yibo looked at the three of them and said with a smile, "You can stay here temporarily and wait until the boss matches you with a partner. After that, you will no longer be my students, and your partners will lead the team in all future work." But, having said this, Yibo paused again, then looked at Wanjie and Uxian and said, "If you do not perform well, your partner can ask you to return to Extreme Island to rebuild at any time before you get the medal." "I won't. I want my students to be returned, okay? For it." Wanjie and Uxian touched their noses awkwardly. They heard that the bounce rate was quite high. It would be really embarrassing if they did get returned. Soon, Yibo received the news that Wanjie and Uxian had been successfully matched, and they were waiting for their partners to pick them up. As for Mo Kyung, he hasn't been matched yet. "Mo Kyung, you haven't chosen your partner yet. Do you have any requirements for your partner?" the member at the headquarters asked. Obviously, as the new king, Mo Kyung naturally has such preferential treatment. He can even make requests. Mo Kyung thought for a while, and finally uttered one word: strong. The club member thought for a while and asked with a smile, "You are the new king, so you can match up to a Gamma level club member. How about I arrange one for you?" "Gamma level member?" Mo Kyung was stunned for a moment, then frowned and said, "Doesn't having high honors mean you are strong? Is there an expounder? The elucidator?" The club members were speechless. "You still want an evangelist? People who explain the truth are either independent, or they choose their own partners. Besides, the members of the Gamma Club are not weak, okay? Everyone has experienced hundreds of battles, and there is no weak one." "Oh? Is that so?" Mo Kyung nodded, indicating his approval. "Let me choose a particularly powerful one for you," the member said with a smile, and then asked again, "Do you have any other requirements?" "Well, Chinese are the best," Mo Kyung said. Mo Kyung is Chinese, and the team members he wants are naturally Chinese. This has nothing to do with discrimination or not, it is just a matter of intimacy. As a Chinese, he will naturally be more approachable. Chinese words. The member nodded and said, "That's him, a 12-year veteran member. I have informed him that he will come to the headquarters to pick you up in the next 2 days, and he will take you to receive benefits and the fiefdom of Alpha Ziu." "Manor? What fiefdom?" Mo Kyung was stunned. He knew that members had various benefits. After all, they were all written in the agreement. But they were also things like money. But what the hell is this fiefdom? At this time, he heard the member say with a smile, "Suzhou is so big, more than 2 million square kilometers, without any minerals, just pure land. Some places are used to build containment facilities, and some places are divided for agricultural production. By the way, Suzhou is a containment object, you know this, right?" "No," Mo Kyung nodded and said. "Well, this containment object has a characteristic, that is, any pure natural crystal that touches it will cause land to appear inside the crystal ball, becoming a derivative of this containment object. We call the crystal ball of these derivatives virtual island. The member explained there are big and small virtual islands. The small one may only be 1 square kilometer, and the big one may be 10,000 square kilometers, and all this soil comes from the mainland of Suzhou, and was moved from the land on the edge of Suzhou. The current Suzhou is not as big as before, and there are still about 1.2 million square kilometers left. Among them, all 900,000 square kilometers have been used as member benefits. Good guy. Mo Kyan called him a good guy. Is it okay to just treat an island as a welfare? However, thinking about it, it seems to be excusable. In some immortal cultivating sects, the welfare of disciples is not the same as storage space. Storage bracelet. A Sumera ring or something. It's like he has a storage ring. Moreover, it is not as convenient as a storage ring. Of course, Mo Kyan didn't care, he just wanted to know who his partner was. But when he waited and nothing came, he opened the intranet and checked his information. Well, there is an alpha metal, and 160 containment points. This storage point can be exchanged for items in the club. The kind of lean meat he had eaten on Extreme Island before only costs 0.1 storage points per kilogram. Translate Konjac 5 points. Taffy stone costs 10 points per carat, and purchase is limited to 1 carat in 3 months. The origin of the containment point is actually very simple. 100 points of which is his base salary. Of the extra 60 points, 50 points were due to the rank salary given to him because he became an alpha level member, and the remaining 10 points were due to Mo Kyan's outstanding performance during the previous encounter with the Gaia Church, but no reward was given to him at that time. Now the calculation gives him 10 containment points. Mo Kyan kept browsing the mall, wanting to see if there was anything useful to him. The taffy stone would definitely be useful, but he couldn't use it right now. The rest, well, there are a lot of high-tech things, it's so dazzling that it's dizzying to see. Mo Kyan even saw something similar to the containment object called Danmukyo. It was said that eating this thing can increase the body's resistance to high temperatures. As long as you eat 1 pill, you can withstand the temperature of 200 degrees Celsius. If you eat 5 pills, you can even survive the environment of 500 degrees Celsius. If you eat 100 pills, you can even withstand the temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius. This thing is said to be wirelessly superimposed, but the effect will diminish. But theoretically, as long as there are enough danmu fruits, people can even bathe in the sun. However, this thing is also very expensive, one costs 200 points. There are many other things like danmukyo, which have resistance to water flow, voltage, etc. At the same time, Mo Kyan also saw many members placing orders. The orders were for purchasing a shelter site, and they had to buy it with money. Under normal circumstances, the official exchange price is that 1 point of containment is equal to the price of 1 gram of gold. But when it comes to the members, good guys, 1 point is equivalent to 10,000 yuan, and those who place orders are all added. However, obviously, there are many people buying containment points, but very few selling them. The preciousness of the containment point is not just a little bit. You know, you can return a gram of taffy stone at 10 points of containment, and the price of taffy stone outside is. Mo Kyan shook his head. At this time, he saw another post. Some people said that he finally won the danmu fruit. No points were needed, only money, and the one with the highest bid could take it. And below, 937 is the price quoted by Qing Yishui. From 3 million at the beginning to 10 million at the end. Yes, that's 10 million. Of course, it was not the members who spent so much money, but some peripheral personnel. Club members may also feel that if it is less than 5 million, you can buy it once, but if it exceeds 5 million, it is not worth it. Did it turn out that this danmu fruit was grown? Mo Kyan looked at this post with some surprise. He thought that danmu fruit was a derivative, but he didn't expect that it could be grown. Hmm. Suddenly, he remembered that the members of the club in the past said that they were farmers. Yes, farming, co-authoring, that's what it means. Is it okay to grow containment objects? It was an eye-opener for him. For the next day, Amokayan kept marveling and sighing. It was different after becoming a formal member. There are many things that Siang didn't dare to think about before. After becoming a formal member, money or anything else is not important. After all, members are not short of money. Even if they are really short of money, they can use the shelter to buy some high technology. Cutting-edge technology, whether you start a company or hire someone to run it, you can make money. Money is not important. On the contrary, at this time, Amokayan became interested in farming. Yes, farming. He spent a day browsing the internet. Yes, I saw that many club members have planted various containment derivatives. In addition to the danmu fruit mentioned before, there are also thunder strike wood that improves lightning resistance, deep sea lotus that resists water pressure, etc. And these things, all rely on something called an adaptive seed. This seed itself is a derivative, obtained from beta-019. This adaptive seed can adapt to planting in different environments. In different environments, it can also different plants will be grown. They may be ordinary crops, rare plants, extinct plants, or even plants with magical effects. These are those with added resistance. Here's the origin of the fruit. Like danmu fruit, it needs a high temperature environment. Lightning strike wood requires constant lightning strikes. In short, there are all kinds of things. This containment object has been obtained for many years, but so far, the Blue and White Society doesn't know what this thing can do. How many types of plants can you grow? Because the adaptation of these adaptive seeds is completely random. Even if it is the same batch, the same environment, and the same soil, the things grown will not be uniform. 10 of the same seeds can even be planted. 10 completely different plants came out. To be honest, Amokayan was really interested in farming. Early the next morning, he went to the General Affairs Department and planned to receive his own fiefdom. He chose the fiefdom himself, big or small. It all depends on the face. The fiefdoms are all crystal balls, exactly the same, with reduced land areas inside. Each one is different, but each one cannot tell the size. That's why it is said that you can choose the fiefdom by yourself. The size is all based on the face. Even the senior members don't. You must be able to see the internal area. At this moment, a communication contacted him. The caller ID showed that the caller number was 2009109. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 343. Amokayan's partner. I don't know what kind of guy Amokayan's partner is. The member of Gamma Club is still very strong, and he's Chinese, tisk. I'm not curious about who Amokayan's partner is. I just want to know, are there any such adaptive seeds? I want the Divine Medicine Valley. Are you talking about Divine Medicine Valley? I want the Holy Medicine. I want Dan Pavilion too. Our Alchemist Society needs this magical thing. Adaptive seeds, by the way, if this thing is soaked in spiritual energy, what will it grow? Anyway, there is a high probability that it should be a spiritual plant, and then, depending on the surrounding environment, different things can be planted. Maybe cutting with a knife and axe will also have a certain effect. Well, wind, thunder, water, fire, and ice, I guess they all have the same effect. Effect. You can grow amazing things. At this time, countless people were discussing excitedly. At the same time, the fighting world. Adaptive seeds? Does such a thing even exist? Yao Zun looked at the Dao gold list and was a little surprised. Why didn't he expect that there is such a thing as adaptive seeds? The things planted are completely random. The whole process depends on the face. Of course, as long as the environmental factors are in place, the seeds can still have hundreds of seeds. There is a 10/10 chance of success in growing what you want. And this is enough. As an alchemist, he knows the value of this kind of thing. If he can refine those fruits into elixirs. Good guy, just thinking about it, he couldn't help but smile. Adaptive seeds. The Danmu fruit, thunderstruck tree, etc. that are grown are only average in effect. Xiao Yan looked at the Dao Golden List and curled his lips. Indeed, compared to his current Dosheng cultivation level, that little improvement is a bit insignificant. His physical body is also very powerful. Even without Do Qi, he can still resist a lot. High water pressure can withstand high temperatures. Regarding this, Ye Zun smiled and said, indeed, this thing is not as good as cultivation. Don't think that just because you have been exposed to it a lot, you think you can cultivate a lot. In fact, all the gods, there are more ordinary people in the world. Just imagine, what kind of horrific situation would it be like if Blue and White Society expanded its business to all the worlds? Well, Xiao Yan thought about it and suddenly felt a chill. With the strength and foundation of the Blue and White Society, what kind of existence will they become as long as they connect to all the worlds? It was definitely a terrifying force that spanned all the worlds. Not to mention that he can practice, those guys in the Blue and White Society can't. It's just because the world where the Blue and White Society is located cannot practice. If the people from the Blue and White Society came to their world, they could practice fighting spirit, but couldn't the people from the Blue and White Society? Obviously impossible. These guys from the Blue and White Society are proficient in many things and have dabbled in all walks of life. Would you believe it when a foreigner reads the legend of the Condor heroes? If the laws of the world were suddenly able to be cultivated, there is no doubt that these guys would definitely stand out and be ahead of countless others. This is the scary thing about Blue and White Society. The scary thing is not the mortals, the scary thing is that they are mortals, but they can resist the gods. Blue and White Club, Xiao Yan's eyes flickered, and his heart couldn't help but tremble secretly. However, some doubts flashed through his mind. Connecting all the worlds. Can the Blue and White Society do it? At this time, the mortal world. Spirit world. Han Li looked at the picture on the Dao Gold List and recalled the characteristics of the adaptive seeds. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but smile. The adaptive seeds, coupled with his Sky Palm bottle, are a perfect match. The Palm Sky bottle can allow seeds to germinate and grow quickly. He only needs to have enough seeds, and within a day, he can get countless derivatives with magical special effects. Moreover, those things can also be used to make elixirs. His eyes twinkled. If possible, I really want to make a deal with the people from Blue and White Club. Han Li licked the corner of his mouth. This time, he was really moved. It seems that some things like containment objects are of great use. As for whether the Blue and White Society can connect to the heavens, and whether he can connect with the heavens. Blue and White Society conducts transactions. Han Li thought for a while, looked at the Great Dao Golden List, and couldn't help but think. He had a hunch that even if the Blue and White Society did not connect to the heavens, the Great Dao Golden List could do it. At this time, with the thinking of countless people in the world, whether they are alchemists, medicine refiners, magic medicines, etc. They all have a strong interest in this adaptive seed. Especially Han Li. The combination of the Palm Sky bottle and the adaptive seeds is simply amazing. However, everything will have to wait until the end to know. Countless people thought about it and looked at the Dao Golden List. Next up is Mo Kyung's partner. I don't know what kind of guy this partner is. After thinking about it, I can see that in the picture. Mo Kyung looked at the communication, frowned slightly, thought for a while, and immediately connected it. Who are you? Amo Kyung asked, and at the same time, he also added the other party as a friend. As the call was connected, there was a smell of northeastern slag from the other side. Amo Kyung, where do you put it? Why didn't I look at you in the headquarters building? I put it down. Amo Kyung subconsciously spoke, then he became ashamed, almost being led astray, and immediately said quickly, I am choosing Sudeo. Oh? Have you finished choosing? Asked from the other side. I haven't chosen yet, how about you come over and join us? Amo Kyung asked tentatively. Wait for me, the other person said, hang up immediately. Amo Kyung looked at the communication for a moment. It's clean, okay, very good. At least it's not the slow-tempered kind. Since his partner is coming, he will wait for it when the time comes. Ask their partner to help them take a look. He still remembers Yibo saying that his partner will help them choose many things, and they will receive benefits after their partner comes. There may be some trick to this. Who knows, you can choose a good area virtual island. At this time, Amo Kyung came back to his senses, looked at the reception in front of him, and asked with a smile, my partner is coming. By the way, do you recognize his number 200-9109? The receptionist thought for a moment, then suddenly raised his eyebrows and asked, are you a member of Gamma Club? Well, you know him. Amo Kyung was surprised. The tone of the reception was a little strange. We know each other. Why don't we know each other? The members of the Gamma Club are all famous, but he is especially famous. What? Amo Kyung was immediately curious. So famous? More famous than other Gamma Club members? What's the origin of this? This man, well, how should I put it, is simply destined to live alone. The receptionist couldn't help laughing and said, does the soulmate know? Yeah. I know. Amo Kyung nodded and thought to himself, does his partner also have a soulmate? At this time, the receptionist smiled and said, it's good to know, I won't explain it. And he has a soulmate, a beautiful club member. The two of them can be said to be a match made in heaven. At one time, the beautiful club member was a little interested in him, but this man is better. He knows that the other person can feel it, but he still behaves openly. Go to nightclubs, he has been to all the legal sex venues in the world. His. Amo Kyung took a breath. Then you don't want to hate him to death. That's not true. The receptionist smiled and said. So, the club gave him a nickname, and he was called, Dog Thief, ahem, just know it. Don't say it was me who said it. Don't spread it. Don't spread it. This. Amo Kyung panicked. Isn't he a bit unreliable? That depends on what you think. The receptionist said, after all, he is a member of the Gamma Club. He is very reliable in terms of shelter. He is reliable to brothers, but not to women. As he spoke, his expression changed, as if he had seen something. He shut up immediately, and then continued to sort out the documents in his hand as if nothing had happened. Amo Kyung looked back and saw someone walking in from outside the house. About the same height as him, but very burly. It has nothing to do with profoundness, but his eyes are extremely deep, and he walks as if he has a domineering feeling, like a dragon crouching and a tiger perched. And he, with a cigarette still hanging in his mouth, walked up to Amo Kyung, looking at Amo Kyung while smoking a cigarette. Are you Amo Kyung? The man smiled and said. I saw your grades. They are very good. They are comparable to what I had back then. Well, do you have a girlfriend? Amo Kyung was stunned. The man tooted and said, what the hell are you doing? Hina. Amo Kyung was speechless. Seeing that Amo Kyung didn't speak, the man smiled and patted Amo Kyung on the shoulder. Come on, it's okay, just ask, and you can follow me from now on. I messed up. Feeling the force of this guy's slap on him, Amo Kyung narrowed his eyes. Okay, very strong. As long as he is not a pig teammate, his personality, or whatever, it doesn't matter to him. Anyway, they can get used to each other after a long time. Amokayan quickly regained his composure. He asked, I don't know what to call you yet. Well, my last name is Go. Just call me Mr. Go, Mr. Go said with a smile. Dog. Amokayan hesitated for a moment. How did he get the nickname of that dog thief? By the way, Pixu Island, right? Call Master Go to come and listen? I'll help you choose, Mr. Go said with a smile. Tisk. Amokayan grinned. Forget it, I'll choose it myself. Tisk, you won't let go of the hawk until you see the rabbit, right? Okay, I'll help you choose, Master Go said. He stepped forward and grabbed a crystal ball, waited, and then threw it back, saying small. Then he weighed several more, but they were all too small. Amokayan was also curious. I tried it before, but found that the weight of these things was the same, there was no difference at all. So, how did Mr. Go know the size? With doubts, he soon noticed the difference. There was sea water in the crystal ball. And when you pick up the crystal ball, the sea water will slosh. The greater the sloshing amplitude, the smaller the land area. The greater the sloshing amplitude, the larger the land area. Is this how to identify co-authors? At this time, again seeing Master Go pick up one, Amokayan took a look and said, this should be big, right? Well, this area is about 40 or 50 square kilometers, so what? Did you see it? Master Go raised his eyebrows. Amokayan smiled and nodded. Although I can't calculate the specific area, but by comparison, I can find the largest one. If your observation skills are so-so, then you can choose, and I'll go smoke a cigarette, Master Go said, took out another cigarette, lit it and walked out. Amokayan shook his head and didn't think much about it. Soon, he found a virtual island with an area of 54 square kilometers. Soon, he found a virtual island with an area of 54 square kilometers. He was familiar with the operation. He took his virtual island and walked out. Under the leadership of Master Go, Amokayan went to the logistics staff of the General Affairs Department to help build the island. Of course, Amokayan could figure out the cost of building the island. This thing is simply a gold-swallowing beast. Not only is the construction labor cost high, but the various instruments are also expensive. Although you can owe it first and pay it back slowly. But that is equivalent to Amokayan needing to pay for the community. Half a year's work for nothing. No matter who it is, Amokayan doesn't want it. The little money he has on him is not enough for a fraction of others, so. Senior, the labor cost won't be that expensive, right? You must have a solution, right? Amokayan asked. Yes, of course there is, and it's the kind that works for you once and for all and can work for half your life, Mr. Go said with a smile. What? Is there such a thing? Amokayan was shocked. Mr. Go looked at the sky, his tone of voice could not tell whether it was true or false. Haha, it must be a lie. Amokayan curled his lips and said, a one-time buyout for half a lifetime's work, how can such a thing happen in modern society? What about buying slaves? Hey, I have a bad temper. Goya curled his lips. Don't provoke me yet. Even if I tell you, it's useless, because this requires a gamma-level medal as a guarantee. Otherwise, no matter how many points you have, it will be useless. This thing cannot be bought with points and money. So, what is it? Come and listen to it, Amo, Wang Liao asked curiously. Master Go took a deep breath, puffed out the clouds, and said quietly, Traverser. Amokayan? Countless people who have traveled across the world. What the hell? Traveler. Did I hear you right? At this moment, countless people across the world were shocked. This word traveler they are too familiar. You know, in the inventory of the Deo Golden List, there are many children of destiny and the protagonists in this world, but they are all time travelers. And now, there are actually time travelers in the Blue and White Society. Can the time travelers still get it? Or is that so? The kind that helps members of the society work for a lifetime? Damn, did I hear that right? Can all those who travel through time get it? What the hell is this? I'm stupid, really. Time traveler? Turns out to be a time traveler? Is it okay to lead a time traveler? In other worlds, time travelers are the ones who stir up trouble, and are simply the protagonists. But in the Blue and White world, time travelers are only qualified to work for the members. It's so funny, which unlucky guy traveled to this world? Are they being used like animals? By the way, judging by Master Go's tone, there might be more than one time traveler, right? Worry, there is more than one time traveler. Gee, it's really unlucky for a time traveler to cross into this world. Hee, the containment object is not an ordinary thing. If ordinary people encounter it, it is a miracle that they are alive. You can't say that, there are many harmless counties with contained objects. I don't know what this time traveler has done. Is it a group or one? I'm really curious. Travelers, it seems that not every time traveler is a child of luck, right? Even the time traveler was captured by the Blue and White Society. Good guy, are you going across the world to catch time travelers? Blue and White Club is so terrifying. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 344. Time Traveler. At this moment, countless people in the world were surprised. To be honest, this time, they were really interested and wanted to know what happened to this time traveler. Soon, countless people understood that the time traveler was really the time traveler they imagined. Of course, this time traveler is actually a time traveler who appeared due to the influence of the contained object. The contained object is, Gamma-315 Traveler's Notes. All the time travelers in the world are caused by it. Every once in a while, an address will be displayed on the traveler's note. When this address appears, it means that there will be one or more creatures from another world in that place at the same time. Moreover, the traveler's notes are highly recoverable, and even if they are completely destroyed, they can still be restored. Of course, passively appearing addresses is one thing. It is also possible to actively interfere with the appearance of addresses. In other words, people can fill in the address on the traveler's notes. In the past, Blue and White Club always kept it in the summit state, but during an experiment, it returned to normal, with 47 addresses appearing in one go. Later, it would take the initiative to write addresses. After all, it's better to clear things up than to block them. An address you control is far better than an address that appears randomly. And this address is naturally the containment area, containment room, or containment location. Once this so-called time traveler appears, it is equivalent to being contained. Moreover, these time travelers are also weird. Most of these time travels are animals, non-intelligent life forms. Of course, there is also a large percentage of humans. And among these humans, there are still a small number of humans who may have high intelligence or even powerful extraordinary powers. Yes, extraordinary power. This extraordinary power is not a contained object, but the extraordinary power that can be practiced, similar to that of all heavens and worlds. However, after these guys with extraordinary power arrived on the earth, they were forced to adapt to certain absolute characteristics on the earth. I don't know what that characteristic is. I don't know if it's caused by the time traveler's notes, or because their world already has that kind of power. Anyway, the extraordinary power of these time travelers cannot override the natural laws of the blue and white world. If you want to exist, you have to change, or adapt. As for what applicable law? Well, for example, there was a time traveler before, a human being or a transcendent being. He could directly condense water vapor around his body, or continuously pour water directly from his body, and he could even create 707 violent storms. As a result, he was struck by lightning in the dark clouds he created. The lightning struck him directly and paralyzed him. Later, he was taken to study by the Blue and White Club. After all, the Blue and White Society really hopes to find an extraordinary system that can be learned, continuously improved, and developed. In this way, it can at least be protected against contained objects. Unfortunately, the results of the study were disappointing. The time traveler claimed that he had some kind of heaven-level water spirit root, but later it was discovered that he did have a strange organ made of water in his body. That organ is something people in the Blue and White world don't have. That organ is integrated with the rotten tail, and the energy power generated is 1,000 times higher than that of humans on Earth. As for this water spirit root, it won't work even if you want to transplant it, it will collapse once it is separated. In addition, after being criticized by the lightning, his water spirit root was directly electrolyzed. The time traveler collapsed, saying that it was okay to be struck by lightning before, but when he was struck by lightning on Earth, it was directly broken into two spiritual roots that he could not understand. It's impossible to understand, let alone use. Of course, what are the two spiritual roots of Blue and White Society humanity? Water reacts with electricity, and after electrolysis, the water turns into hydrogen and oxygen. Yes, that's right, the water spirit root decomposed into hydrogen spirit root and oxygen spirit root. Fortunately, after the efforts of the doctors, the hydrogen spiritual root and the oxygen spiritual root were successfully fused to form the water spiritual root. However, according to the meaning of the time traveler, his grade fell and he became a low-grade water spiritual root. Cultivation techniques are useless. Those so-called top-quality kung fu techniques, heaven-level combat skills, etc., are only meaningful to those who have traveled through time. Not just this one time traveler, there are many other time travelers. After traveling to the Blue and White world, the energy in their bodies is constantly evaporating. No matter what you cultivate, it will continue to decrease and be consumed in the end. In the past, when they practiced cultivation, they would increase by 1 point for each cycle. However, the increase was different for different exercises, and some people even increased by a little more. But after arriving in the Blue and White world, everything changed. The energy in the body consumes 1 point every time it operates for a week, and it is still the same. The greater the power, the greater the consumption. In the past, the practice of meditation and all-out cultivation turned into all-out practice after arriving on Earth. In other words, if they don't practice at all, they can forcefully consume less and slower, but it's still useless. The energy in their bodies is always in a high energy state. Just the existence of this energy, BHCJ, requires extremely high energy consumption. The Blue and White world is simply the end of the Dharma era. No, it should be more ruthless. After all, even in the Dharma ending era, it is impossible to electrolyze the water spirit root. It can only be said to be the era of forbidden laws. The best way is to let the high capacity energy drop to a low energy level. For these monks, it is equivalent to falling into the realm, or lowering the level of mana. On Earth, the only thing on Earth that can allow these monks to replenish their energy is recharging. However, a smaller current is fine, but if the current is high, you will be electrocuted directly. So far, there is only one time traveler who can withstand high voltage electricity, but that guy's physical fitness is too strong, much stronger than the members of the club. How strong is it? So strong that when his power was exhausted, he went into shock and was semi-paralyzed. Because the energy in his body cannot support his actions at all, and his physical fitness is too strong. In the end, the people from Blue and White Society finally rescued him, but they still had to charge the battery for 18 hours a day, eat high-calorie foods that are easy to absorb, and inject 6,000 liters of seafood soup. It is basically impossible to stand up in this life. I can only lie in bed to recharge my batteries every day, eat while lying down, and inject nutrients. That's all for ordinary time travelers. Speaking of those powerful time travelers, which one is not a prosperous existence in another world? All of them are powerful. However, after arriving on Earth, they all became idiots, and the longer they stayed, the more useless they became. The only thing these guys are useful to the Blue and White Society may be their genes. It's difficult to maintain a living. The big boss who is suspected of being a bodybuilder still doesn't know how much money he owes Blue and White Society. There is no financial source at all. In the end, he could only be reduced to a mere helper in the community to farm the land. Yes, they can only farm, because their knowledge is useless to the earth, and they cannot learn the knowledge of the earth, so in the end they can only farm. Of course, this does not mean that all time travelers are supported by the Blue and White Society. There are also some guys who are suspected of being evil. After coming to the Blue and White world, some guys are arrogant and murderous without blinking an eye. Those who traveled through time were executed by the Blue and White Society. Of course, some of them became D-class personnel. This is the current situation of travelers in the Blue and White world. At this time, countless people in all the world saw this scene, their mouths widened in shock, and then they all took a breath. Hiss, are we cultivators so miserable after going to the Blue and White world? What the hell is the water spirit root being split into hydrogen spirit roots and oxygen spirit roots by electricity? Grass. Okay, this is very chemical. Ha ha ha, are hydrogen spirit roots and oxygen spirit roots okay? Does such a thing even exist? Damn it, I was thinking about going to the Blue and White world before, but now that I look at it, I better not go there. If I really go, not to mention being hummed by the contained objects, it is the deep malice coming from the world. I can't stand anything. Is this a time traveler? It was so miserable, especially the big guy who was training, at the end, he couldn't even stand up. I'm so numb. Hell, this Blue and White world is simply hell. My scalp is numb just by looking at it. Hiss, our sect once lost an ancestor who was a master of body refining. Did he go to the Blue and White world? Our sect once lost a disciple with a heavenly water spirit root. What the heck, did he end up in the Blue and White world? Are you really telling the truth? I really believe in your evil deeds. The Blue and White world is too dangerous, damn it, I won't even go there even if I kill myself. So scary. I was a boss for a few days, and then I became an idiot. Tisk, let's talk. Moth ability is absolutely hit, can it send people to their original world? Well, I don't know if these guys are really time travelers. Or was it just created by the containment object? Then I don't know, we have to let Mokayan figure it out. By the way, why does the practice of luck actually reduce one's skill? Never heard of this. Haha, have you ever heard of a thunder splitting the spiritual roots apart? The physical rules of this world are different from ours. I also have water spiritual roots. I just passed through the tribulation yesterday, and I didn't see the lightning tribulation split my spiritual roots into hydrogen and oxygen spiritual roots. Well, in the world of technology, it's normal for water to react with electricity and be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen. After all, water is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen molecules. As for the fact that luck actually reduces one's skill, that's a better explanation. Think of power as electricity, and if it circulates through wires, there will also be some loss, so, do you understand? Whoa, I'm so confused. I know that the laws of different worlds are different. This is normal. Just like Chenang, when he goes to different worlds, he can understand different laws, but Chenang can still use his internal strength and practice. Kung Fu, I really can't understand this blue and white world. It's simply a nightmare for monks like us. By the way, monks are not compatible in this world, but what about the technological world? If a traveler from the technological world appears, will those technological items be useful in this world? I don't know then. Anyway, I feel that ordinary people would have an easier time in this world. At this time, countless people in the world were discussing and watching everything that happened in the picture. Regarding the travelers in the blue and white world, everyone's scalp was numb. They are so awesome in their own world, but they can't. After arriving in the blue and white world, the senior time travelers had proven to them that going to the blue and white world was a dead end. Countless people sighed and looked at everything that happened in the picture. Soon, everyone saw that Mokayan was there. Under the guarantee of Master Go, he took away 300 time travelers to prevent them from building on the virtual island. Then, under Master Go's advice, Mokayan also learned that each member of the society can adopt one of his own pets. This pet is naturally caused by a contained object. In a yard, an animal will be randomly refreshed every day in that yard. The animal could be anything, maybe a mosquito, maybe a giant beast, maybe they are extinct ancient creatures. In short, under the influence of the containment objects, these animals can perfectly adapt to the current climate of the earth. And if a drop of blood is shed in this yard, then a new animal will be born in the yard immediately. And this animal will have a very high affection for the person who bleeds, and will even connect with him. Once, a member of the club got an ordinary ancient ocean beast, but later, the thing grew bigger and bigger, and developed into a kun, and then, only then did I realize that the animals provided by this containment are not just ordinary animals. There is a very small chance that these animals will have special characteristics. Perhaps they are absolutely special animals, maybe some other derived feature. All in all, they are very good, even comparable to an animal shelter that can communicate with your heart. The club member's former pet, the kun, has the characteristic of infinite growth. Of course, the probability of this is small. And Mokayan also went to give it a try. The yard was not immune to the alien effect. After spraying a little natural gas, a panda cub appeared in front of Mokayan. And this panda cub also has its own characteristics. That was an absolute tumble. There is no force that can stop this panda from rolling, only it stops on its own or completes the rolling command. The rest, anything that blocks its rolling action, will be broken apart or crushed by it. Even during the roll, it is invincible and immune to all physical means. Of course, that doesn't mean it can't be stopped from rolling. For example, if a wall is erected in front of it, it can still roll, but it will spin in place instead of overturning the wall. However, this is also the result of its own inexperience in using its abilities. In short, when Mokayan learned about the panda, he had already thought of infinite ways to use this ability. Of course, he also considered whether this ability had any harm, but after thinking about it, this thing was only limited to one action, and the harm was really difficult to estimate. At this time, as the screen flickered. Soon, everyone saw that when Mokayan returned to his hometown, he ransacked an underground palace in his hometown. This underground palace is the Mahist Underground Palace. The Mahist family in this world is actually an ancient containment organization that houses many objects here. One of the objects called the Ghost of Mount Tai is even more dangerous. Its movement can even drive Mount Tai to move. In the end, he was also forcibly taken in by Mokayan. There are also clever wooden men transformed by former Mahist disciples here. They guard here. Although they have become wooden men, they have lived to this day. Mokayan tried to reason with them, but these guys didn't listen, they were stubborn and stupid. Well, then he was beaten up by Mokayan. After the mission was over, Mo Kyung suddenly discovered that he seemed to be a descendant of the Mo family. In other words, these wooden people were all his ancestors. The Mahist family was originally unwilling to cooperate, thinking that the world was all white but I was the only one who was black. Only I can take charge of the contained objects, no one else can, not even the Blue and White Society. And Mo Kyung, as a descendant of the Mo family, was only assigned a new task by the company. That is, become the president of Blue and White, take over as the leader of the Mahist family, completely get the information about the contained objects, and also contain all the contained objects in the containment team. Mo Kyung looked at the Blue and White president's order in his hand and was speechless. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 345. Good guy, are you now the president of Blue and White? Okay, finish spreading flowers. The first in history, Alpha-level Blue and White president. This makes me laugh so hard. Is the Alpha Blue and White Club okay? Obviously, President Lanbei is just a name, just a title. Mo Kyung is not President Lanbei at all. Well, although he is not the president of Blue and White, he is a new generation of giants. Not to mention, today's members were all talented in ancient times. That talent is simply ridiculously high. By the way, we also have the Mahist family in our world. Who would have thought that there is such a heritage as the Mahist family in all the worlds? Mahist family? What? Your Mo family also uses containment objects. Our Mo family does not use containment objects, but they use machine puppets. Our Mo family's machine puppets are unparalleled in the world. At this time, countless people were sighing, and the scene turned. Mo Kyung, under the leadership of Master Go, started the 7-day gamble again. The so-called 7-day gamble is a black technology that unlocks spiritual power. As long as this during the 7 days, if he screamed for a certain point or a certain number in his heart, and the dealer sensed it, then he had successfully activated his mental power. There is no doubt that Mo Kyung succeeded. His mental power is really incredible, although his mental power is not as good as some veteran club members, but he has absolute hit. Under absolute hit, mental power can also be fired as an arrow, and anyone can connect to it. Of course, before starting the 7-day gamble, Mo Kyung and the others also had a competition with the Little Brotherhood, and this competition ended with the destruction of the Little Brotherhood. As Mo Kyung continued to complete tasks, he finally managed to get 20 medals. As long as you have 20 alpha medals, you can automatically be promoted to beta. In the past 30 years, you are considered the fastest, Mr. Go said with emotion. Oh. Mo Kyung was a little surprised. He has experienced a lot in such a long time. Whether it was Taishan and his group or his subsequent collision with the Little Brotherhood, it can be said that his experience is really rich, and his promotion speed is even faster. And all this credit is related to his absolute hit. Is he just the fastest in 30 years while driving? What about 30 years ago? Is it possible that there is a faster one? Mo Kyung said in surprise. Haha, the Blue and White Society is full of talents. 30 years ago, the 5th generation president once took in 10 objects in one day and was promoted to beta in one breath. After that, within a month, it became Gamma, Mr. Go said with a smile. Damn it! Mo Kyung was stunned. 10 a day, Gamma in a month? Where did so many contained objects come from? A question of the times. Master Go said in a deep voice, it is said that this is a crazy era when containment objects are springing up like mushrooms after a rain. When the Blue and White Society was supported and began to spread out around the world, it was discovered that there were containment objects everywhere in the world. It was like a horde of demons dancing around. Polo, the 5th generation president, came to the rescue. It took 10 years of hard work to bring such a prosperous and stable environment to the 21st century. He is my idol. For it. Mo Kyan pondered, and then said, I remember, the fifth-generation president died after only 1 year, right? The corner of Go Ye's mouth twitched, and his defense was directly broken by the sentence, but he still nodded and said yes, he is here. He became the president in the 10th year after joining the company, but he died in the first year after becoming the president. That year happened to be 1999. Year 1999? What exactly happened that year? Mo Kyan frowned. He was still young at that time and completely ignorant. Even if he knew, it would be useless. He didn't know anything about the containment world either. Well, that year. Master Go smoked a cigarette and slowly looked at the sky. His thoughts seemed to be drawn back to that era. He said quietly it was the Zerg invasion, and war almost swept the whole world. Zerg? Mo Kyan was stunned. Contained object or alien creature? Containment. Mr. Go affirmed this thing has the ability to adapt infinitely and evolve infinitely. Do you know what this concept is? Hiss, Mo Kyan took a breath. Just these two words made his heart tremble. It's scary to think about it. Infinite adaptability and infinite evolution, this is simply a cheat. It was just a small insect egg at the beginning, and I don't know who raised it into a Zerg without solution. Mr. Go lamented. Although it can be suppressed temporarily by using a containment object, it will not take long for it to evolve to be immune to the properties of the containment object. Hiss, how was this thing contained? Mo Kyan asked in surprise. Well, he's still the fifth-generation president. Master Go said with emotion. Humanity was in complete defeat at that time, but it was the fifth-generation president who tried all the containment objects against everyone else's opinions. Doesn't this make the Zerg stronger and stronger? Mo Kyan said in a daze. Yes, everyone also raised this doubt at the time, but how courageous was President Gode? He firmly believes that there is no unsolvable containment object, there is always a more absolute one. Mr. Go nodded and said. Oh? Found it? Which container is it? Mo Kyan asked again. Well, best metal. Master Go said softly. This thing is absolutely hard and cannot be swallowed even if it is enough. However, best metal can be easily controlled with mental power. As long as there is mental power, anyone can control best metal. If the Zerg evolves, if you have a higher mental power than the club members, then there is no way humans can stop it. So, how was it resolved in the end? Mo Kyan has a toothache. After talking for a long time, he still didn't get to the point. Well, it's a corpse, Mr. Go said. Corpse? Mo Kyan frowned. Go Ye explained the mysterious remains of Omega-111. This is the last humanoid corpse found on the moon shortly after the first world landed on the moon. It looks like a Chinese male. The body is still elastic, but it is incredibly tough. So far, it has not been possible to remove a single cell from the corpse. Come. Not even with hair? Mo Kyan was stunned. Master Go shook his head. No, and to be precise, he has no hair. Those black things on his head were tested and found to be meat. Not only that, all over his body, no pores could be seen even under the microscope's magnification tens of millions of times. This body was as terrifying as best metal. However, his fonts can be twisted at will, and his skin can be pulled at will, showing great flexibility. I understand, this corpse should not even be swallowed by the Zerg, right? By the way, how are we going to imprison the Zerg? Stuff it all in your mouth, Mo Kyan asked. What nonsense! Go Ye rolled his eyes and immediately explained. At that time, the president tested that the Zerg could not cause harm to the corpse, and he realized that the corpse's defense was invincible. Not only that, it also had huge energy. The Zerg sucked to the sky, didn't even move. And those Zerg races were terrifying and unbelievably strong, but this was just a drop of energy in the corpse. Infinite energy, Mo Kyan guessed. Well, that's what we guessed too. After all, there was no way to calculate it. At that time, the president couldn't care less and proposed a plan to raise the Zerg in captivity. Master Go said slowly, the goal of the Zerg is to swallow energy. It seems that it will never be satisfied. Everything will be swallowed by the Zerg. However, what if there is a food that can never be eaten, and energy that can't be swallowed up? Then, containment is done. Mo Kyan nodded. This is similar to feeding Dowdy. Although this method of containment is still risky. But there is no other way. Instead of destroying the world, it is better for the two powers to harm each other. Finally, under the escort of the fifth-generation president, the body was sent to the Zerg Queen. All the escorting soldiers died in the battle, and the fifth-generation president also died in the hands of the Zerg Queen. As for what the fifth-generation president said to the Zerg Queen, I am afraid only the Zerg Queen knows. After the death of the fifth-generation president, the Zerg recovered all the troops. To put it bluntly, the Zerg and the Queen are one, and the other bugs can at best be regarded as the Queen's mouth, which is specially used to collect energy. After having the corpse, other energy doesn't matter at all. Now, the Queen of the Zerg is still peacefully devouring the corpse's endless energy in the virtual island. How strong is the Zerg Queen today? Mo Kyan suddenly asked. Speaking of this topic, Master Go couldn't help but tremble. After a long time, he said perhaps it is only a matter of time before the Earth can be annihilated in an instant, the solar system can be easily destroyed, the galaxy and even the entire universe can be destroyed. It can be said that after eating the corpse that day is when the world will be destroyed. Mo Kyan opened his mouth and wanted to ask. But Mr. Go didn't want to talk anymore. There were many things that Mo Kyan couldn't know now. Soon, Mo Kyan learned more details about the 1999 battle from Go Ye. Although that battle only lasted 3 days, the population of China alone dropped sharply by 4%. And this year, 1999, became the largest floor washing project in history. On December 28 of that year, almost everyone in the world who was born before this day has a false memory of 3 days. That is to say, I was 4 years old that year, and my memory was also tampered with. Mo Kyan was stunned. 4 years old? Then you are still young and don't know how much it is, so just seal it. Go Ye said with a smile, maybe your father was also a civilian hero back then. Civilian hero? Mo Kyan was stunned. That year, all the people were soldiers, and the Zerg could not be defeated, but they could still take up arms to resist. After the war, these people returned to their past lives. As for the memories of those 3 days, they were naturally sealed or tampered. For some outstanding performers, the Blue and White Society also secretly placed them in different positions. Forget about being a civilian hero. My father is just a man who contributed to the marriage, so I'm afraid he doesn't stand out much. Mo Kyan shook his head. Soon, Mo Kyan was told that because he had been promoted to beta, he could join some special establishments. The so-called special establishments are allowing to master some contained objects or derivatives or be infected with certain characteristics. An establishment that forms a special combat force. The best team is one of the special establishments. And Mo Kyan naturally wants to be a member of the best team. As for whether he can pass the exam, those two things. Of course, it does not mean that he is just a member of the best team. You can join one organization, and you can also join many organizations. You only need to gather together to do tasks at special times. The rest of the time, you can do whatever you want. Mo Kyan also learned that Master Go has a team of Iron Willers. Special formation. As for how to join the best team, it's actually very simple. You just need to have more mental strength than the opponent. Because best metal is limited, if you want to join the best team, you have to show stronger control than others. Only in this way can he replace others. As for how strong Mo Kyung's mental power is, well, after turning on his mental power in the casino, Mo Kyung understood. His mental power is invincible. Because of his absolute hit, his mental power can almost seize the power of any piece of best metal. Moreover, because of his absolute hit, as long as he doesn't want to shoot his mental power towards Chae-yoon, it will not be conveyed to Chae-yoon. Even if Chae-yoon is Mo Kyung's soulmate. He just wants you awaken your spiritual power, you know how to restrain yourself, and you also know how to bombard others with your spiritual power. You are truly gifted. Well, of course, absolute hits are very important. However, Mo Kyung was still thousands of miles away from Chae-yoon. Passing on the mental power, now Chae-yoon has also entered the extreme island from the peripheral personnel. Moreover, after finishing the training on the extreme island, she has just participated in the internship. Chae-yoon was also shocked, and Mo Kyung now activated his mental power. She was obviously the one who made Mo Kyung discover the Blue and White Club, and now she became Mo Kyung's junior newcomer. It felt really strange. After chatting for a while, Mo Kyung disconnected communication with Chae-yoon. After that, Go-ye took Mo Kyung to test his mental strength. The test of mental strength. The guys are also very interesting. He is a time traveler with strong mental power, but he is a D-class personnel. He has a bad temper and refuses to cooperate, which can seriously hinder mental connection. What Mo Kyung has to do is to forcefully connect to the other party's mental power. When the time comes, there will be professionals to evaluate the situation. And Mo Kyung's mental power. Tisk, there is no doubt that when there is an absolute hit, even if he refuses to cooperate, it is useless. An absolute hit is an absolute hit, and his mental power is also his arrow. Therefore, Mo Kyung connected to the other party almost instantly. Even before the professional called start, he was already connected. If he used a strong mental suggestion or implanted a thought, then the time traveler would immediately turn pale, lie on the bed, and faint. People's strong thoughts are spiritual suggestions. Mo Kyung's strong thoughts are a mental attack. Mo Kyung knew that he still had some imperfect control over his mental power. However, he can train here in the next period of time. He can learn all the uses of mental power from the Blue and White Society. As for Mo Kyung, he actually has a better training method. Although he cannot shoot himself, he can shoot his own mental power into the game world and exercise his mental power in the game world. Moreover, Mo Kyung also discovered through low-dimensional gamers that his mental power can control the bodies of these gamers and the bodies of others. He can practice in this world using the spiritual training method that has not been weakened. Although his spiritual power will be weakened in his own universe, the improvement is a real improvement. At the same time, he can also launch an absolute hit and shoot things from other universes into his universe. It can be said that now he can call anyone he wants in all the worlds, as long as he knows what he looks like. Mo Kyung even found another D-class time traveler and learned about the other person's world from her mental power. Then, Mo Kyung used his mental power to travel through the past, fixed the location, and started to do things and practice here. A month has passed and his mental strength has reached 666. Of course, there is still a slight gap compared to the worst 1000 of best team. However, this gap is also shrinking rapidly. Mo Kyung's mental strength of 666 is already very good. However, at this moment, Go-ye found Mo Kyung and said in a deep voice, "Stop practicing your mental power. As a member of Beta Club, you should also participate in this year's big events." Big event? Mo Kyung was shocked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 346. Hey, good guy, can Mo Kyung really travel across the world? Is this all okay? Is it okay to travel across the world and become a demon king? Whoa ri, is the Blue and White Society really going to establish a pluralistic order? I'm so confused, is this okay? Are those time travelers really time travelers? Someone who was not created by the containment object. Tisk, even if you are not a time traveler, after Mo Kyung's arrow shoots over, that world will still exist. This ability is really strong. Now that you have mental power, it is equivalent to being able to transform into all the worlds. Improving your mental power in other worlds and then returning to your own world is simply cheating. 1. I have a 2-world shuttle door. 2 worlds. Haha, this is more than just 2 realms. This is clearly the multiverse. At this time, countless people looked at everything that happened in the picture with emotion. And in the picture, with the arrival of Master Go, Mo Ching was invited to participate in some big event. Under Master Go's explanation, countless people also now I understand what this big event is. That big event is a doomsday equation. It will erupt once every year, and an apocalypse will occur that can destroy the world. It will calculate and determine a certain place and a certain time. Through calculation, if the final value is 1, the apocalypse will occur, and if the final value is 0, the apocalypse will not occur. To put it bluntly, this is a doomsday-making machine. Just like the legendary zombie virus, this thing has also been created before, eventually leading to the zombie apocalypse. However, with the Blue and White Society, it is naturally impossible for the apocalypse to break out. And this time the apocalypse happened on March 15, at 4:25 p.m., in Kamakura, Kanagawa. Master Go has already signed up, so Mo Kyung will naturally go. As for this mission, there are a total of 6 people from Baiki. Moreover, it is a completely closed operation. This area will be blocked by the Yunja banner. This Yunja banner it is also a containment object that can seal off an area. This area is isolated from time and space. The outside world has absolutely no way to contact the internal situation. In other words, the 60 of them will not receive supplies or support. They can only wait until the apocalypse is over. Because, this apocalypse will be extended based on how well others know it. There are 60 people here, the lowest are beta level members. Mo Kyung is considered the youngest. After arriving at the place, the time will be almost the same. Mo Kyung also met a few acquaintances. Wei Lan and Luo Yi were among them. It was these 2 guys who brought him to Meng Island in the first place, but he didn't expect that now that they meet again, Mo Kyung has also become a member of Beta. The 2 of them. Naturally, I was filled with emotion. Another one was when Mo Kyung was collecting time traveler wages, he met a member named Formalin. There was a snake around his neck. The snake was called Little A and had absolutely untreatable poison characteristics. And he also had the starving ghost effect and was a specially formed undead team. Mo Kyung even saw a member who looked like a zombie. No, it didn't look like a zombie. Through his introduction, he was really a zombie. He was also there at the last doomsday, infected by the zombie virus and became a zombie, but because he had an iron will and remained awake, he also had a zombie body. As for the captain this time, he is a guy named Luo Yan, with great strength she is very strong, and her second form is a girl. She often uses this second form to fight, and has perfect control over the first and second forms. And Luo Yan is a member of the Gamma Club, and his special organization is the best team, the Iron Willers, the Abyss Group and the Valkyrie. The best team controls best metal, and the Iron Will is the thought stamp that possesses an iron will. The Abyss Group can withstand super water pressure and move freely in the deep sea. and in the end the Valkyrie is also a state unique to the second form, and a special ability caused by being affected by a certain containment object. The Valkyrie has strong power in combat and at the same time, when using cold weapons to fight, also has special additional abilities. For example, when slashing with a sword, it will also have additional effects such as burning. The long sword can cause burning, frostbite, and the like. Rare ones include explosions, ruptures, and other effects. It has to be said that Goye also has the Valkyrie effect. As for Goye's second form, he is a 2 or 3 year old baby, who is straighter than Amokayan, the steely straight man. However, Goyekyang is really strong. Moreover, Goye's Valkyrie's random attribute is rupture. That would be outrageous. Only. I'm so convinced, you are the Valkyrie? Are you still hiding this from me? How much do you dislike this identity? Amokayan was speechless. He looked at the information in his hand. Well, there was detailed information about Master Go. Until today, he didn't know that Master Go was still a Valkyrie. Don't say anything special, I hate Valkyrie the most. The regret on Mr. Go's face is simply disgusting. Oh? Amo. Kayan suddenly thought of something and asked, by the way, Sister Yu is so powerful, isn't she also a Valkyrie? Just ask her, Master Go is not angry. Amo Kayan nodded and understood. Well, Sister Yu must be the Valkyrie, otherwise Master Go wouldn't be like this. It has to be said that Valkyrie is indeed defiant, but it still has side effects. Eternal Virgin. That thing will be absolutely protected, and that absoluteness is simply unbelievable. Well, I can't live with Master Go and Sister Yu. Even if they have a good relationship, they can't do what they should do, so what else can they do? I don't know what happened between the two of them. Amokayan shook his head and didn't think much about it. After introducing himself again, he continued to introduce others' abilities and self-introductions one after another. It can be said that everyone present is very strong. Even if they don't look very strong, they still have powerful characteristics. These people are all old members, and the youngest one has 3 to 5 years of experience as a member. With just the past 2 years of experience, Amokayan is really the greenest. However, when it comes to combat power, not to mention Amokayan's absolute hit, Amokayan's own combat power is also pretty good. The king of gunfights is no joke. Even without absolute hits, his marksmanship can surpass that of most club members. Finally, after the 60 people were introduced, the entire Kamakura was successfully sealed off. When time comes, the doomsday disaster will finally arrive. And this time the apocalyptic disaster is the inner demon. Everyone has inner demons. When the inner demon tool appears, it will attack the owner of the inner demon until it is killed, and then it will start attacking everyone around it. As for other people, as long as they are touched by this inner demon, the inner demon will also appear after a certain period of time. This inner demon is very difficult to kill. Even if it is killed, it will reappear after a certain period of time. It can be said that Occupy was at a disadvantage from the very beginning. Thousands of inner demons are overwhelming like locusts crushing over me. Some ordinary people were directly killed by their inner demons, and then the inner demons went berserk and slaughtered the people around them. Some members of the club are also encountered by inner demons, and then their own inner demons appear. The inner demons of ordinary people are easy to deal with. But the inner demons of the club members are different. Just like Wei Lan, her inner demon is Luo Yi. The cold and unpretentious Luo Yi has become her inner demon. She just wants Luo Yi to smile. This partner put too much pressure on her. Over time, there will be inner demons. If you want. Oh, it's not really a demon, it's actually just some kind of obsession. Her inner demon is Luo Yi who smiles from beginning to end. And this inner demon also has the same ability as Luo Yi. Of course, its absoluteness cannot be compared with the real Wanjie. After all, it is a derivative, and it cannot be compared with a serious contained object. As for Wanjie, his inner demon is Doughty. Although Doughty is a containment object that has been contained, Wanjie's first battle as a club member was against Doughty. His partner died just after they met him. Later, reinforcements arrived, and 24 club members were killed one after another by Doughty. And he, as a newcomer, was protected and survived to the end. One can imagine the psychological impact that gluttony had on Wanjie. Then there is Yan. Yan's inner demon was his sister. His sister was also a club member, but she died not long after becoming an Alpha Club member. In his mind, his sister's fists caused real damage. He should have been beaten since childhood, and Yan made all kinds of mistakes. And then there is Master Go. Master Go's inner demon is also a contained object, the spiritual island of the Blue and White Society. The so-called Spirit Island is a place where deceased members are buried. Even if the members' bones are not left, their clothes will still be there. And every grave and every tombstone, after you pass by, you can still hear what the members said before they died. The last sentence. Goya has 4 partners in total, the first and second are dead, the third is crazy, and Mo Kyung is the 4th. At first, Goya would still go to Lingdao, but later, he stopped going at all. He saw so much sadness that he really didn't know how to face it. Unexpectedly, his inner demon became a spiritual island and was manifested. It can be said that inner demons are troublesome. Of course, this does not mean that it cannot be killed. If the host of the inner demon dies, then the inner demon can be completely killed. But, this also means that the sacrifice is huge. Therefore, Mo Kyung and the others have been looking for solutions. As for Mo Kyung, when he was helping Wei Lan and others, his inner demons also appeared. His inner demon was actually the original Xiao Feng, the brown-haired and the blonde-haired, these 3 D-class personnel. His inner demon is a guy with brown hair on Xiao Feng's face, holding a big sword of human bones. There are even many inner demons of peripheral personnel, such as black flame demons, triangle-headed demons, metal demons, etc. In short, Mo Kyung and the others are really in danger. Although these are all fake contained objects, they still have some characteristics. Although the characteristic levels are lower than the original contained objects, they are still very troublesome. There have even been cases where club members died. In the end, Mo Kyung had to borrow Yan's best metal to lure these inner demons to the seaside and blow them up with bombs planted in advance. Although he narrowly escaped death, Mo Kyung still managed to survive. Fortunately, a local in Kamakura once participated in the war against the Zerg in 1999. He was also touched by the inner demons on his back, and the inner demons emerged. And his inner demon is a worker insect among the Zerg tribe. Explosive troops, development. It can be said that the threat of inner demons is troublesome enough, and now, there are also Pushanga's Zerg coming out to cause trouble. Although these Zerg are far inferior to the genuine Zerg, they can still be regarded as super life forms. It can swallow all matter and convert it into energy, and then become stronger. Absolutely outrageous. In the end, Mo Kyung had no choice but to apply the small poison on the arrows, and then used absolute hit to kill all the Zerg. This outrageous operation made everyone dumbfounded. There is no doubt that both Goya and Yan saw something, but they did not expose it. Instead, they directly called 666, the new king is a cowhide, etc. to reassure everyone. But this is not enough. Even if all the Zerg on the surface are killed, there are still countless Zerg digging holes underground, and even the original inner demon Zerg is still attacking. Mo Kyung and others could only fight their way into the ground. In the end, the fused 12 huge building-like insects were hit by Mo Kyung's absolute hit and were directly teleported into the best metal that formed a ball the size of a football. Best metal is absolutely sealed, and sending these bugs in is completely teleporting. There is no doubt that this will be a killer. However, Kyung finally gave out his strength, and half of his body was shattered to pieces, and he was no longer human. His left arm that pushed the bugs was completely broken off, his whole body was shattered, his muscles were loose, and his internal organs were all broken. Rotten. Kyung stuffed everyone's candies into his stomach, and then formed a huge air device. He had strength, but his own strength was still too low, so he was directly crushed by the reaction force. Kyung is hopeless. Even my heart almost stopped beating. If Wei Lan takes one injection, even if he dies, it won't last long. But Mr. Go took out the kidney stones without saying a word. This thing is also a kind of containment object and can replace the beating of the heart. As long as the heart stops beating, the stone heart can still work. Sure enough, after the stone heart entered Kyung's body, it immediately started beating instead of Kyung's heart. There is no doubt that without the stone heart, Kyung would have almost died 3.7 times. Just like that the day passed. Everyone is trying their best to save Kyung. As long as the stone's heart is still beating, Kyung is not dead yet. This time the situation is almost the same, Luo Yan and the others are dealing with the aftermath. In fact, inner demons are very simple. You only need to eliminate the original fear and let go of everything, and the inner demons will disappear. And Kyung, life is really hard. It looked like a certain death situation, but the heart of the stone was still beating, which meant that he was still alive and not completely dead. Finally, after a day and night of treatment, Wei Lan walked out of the operating room. However, at this time, she looked gloomy and a little defeated. Kyung is dead. Yes, Kyung is dead. If the heart doesn't beat due to stones, doesn't it mean that you are dead? Master Go almost collapsed, smoking cigarettes in despair, one cigarette after another, his hands were shaking. The fourth partner. This is his fourth partner. But it's still so dead. His smoking hand was shaking. Alas, dog thief, Luo Yan looked at Master Go and opened his mouth, wanting to say something. However, Master Go stood up directly. Give me the information about the inner demon, and I will do the next exorcism work. Luo Yan smiled bitterly and watched Master Go leave. At this moment, someone came to Luo Yan and reported the situation. It was said that Master Go's cell phone had been ringing since 10 o'clock in the morning, and he had called more than 400 times. Luo Yan frowned, knowing that something was unusual. He found Master Go's locker, opened it, and took out Master Go's mobile phone to take a look. Damn it, Luo Yan was stunned, with shock on his face. But what he saw was that the caller ID on his mobile phone read, Missed Call 428, Kyung. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 347. Good guy, is Kyung really dead? Death must be impossible, otherwise, who called this missed call? It's just, Kyung definitely can't die. Even if he has some mental power, he can still be considered alive, right? Directly traveling to other worlds, storing consciousness there, and directly completing the body snatching, is it still considered alive, right? But having said that, this containment operation is really dangerous. In a sense, Kyung is really dead, right? By the way, how did Kyung keep himself alive? This phone call operation, could it be that he took away the data life in the game and then called Master Go? Not to mention, this is really possible. At this time, countless people were discussing and looking at everything that happened in the picture. As for how Kyung survived? In fact, as countless people thought, Kyung was alive because of an absolute hit. At that time, Kyung he was really on his deathbed. The rest of his senses were gone, and only his thoughts were left. He could feel that something like his soul was floating out of his body, and his soul and body were in some kind of wonderful connection. Although the state was leaving, Mo-Kyan could clearly feel that this soul was like his arrows, and Mo-Kyan's absolute characteristic was to control the landing points of those arrows. Without saying a word, he let those souls return to the body. It was really successful. Of course, his body was already cold and in a state of half-death, and the soul was still floating out. There was no way, he could only repeatedly put the soul back into place. It fell into the body. It can be said that he has been beating repeatedly in a half-dead state. This is also the reason why he did not die after carrying the stone for a day. As for why the heart stopped beating in the end, that is because he put himself, his consciousness, his soul data, etc., were all shot into the game character. Because he realized that there was no way to contact Master Go 18 and the others in his body. He had to let himself be in the game character, whether it was controlling the mobile phone or no matter what, he can contact others. He made more than 400 calls, but Mr. Go didn't answer. In the end, it was Luo Yan who answered. As soon as Mo-Kyan told Luo Yan about the matter, the corners of Luo Yan's mouth twitched. Unexpectedly, Mo-Kyan is really alive in a different way. This is not completely dead. He only needs to repair his body as if he is alive, then Mo-Kyan can return to his own body. The corpse state is definitely not good, and even needs to be restored to life. The blood circulates, the cells work, and the heart beats. This is a living body, just like a vegetative state. By now, Mo-Kyan should be able to survive. Although he is not sure, he can only give it a try and give it a try. Not to mention, Mo-Kyan is really alive. He seems to have had a good sleep, and his brain is clear and formatted. However, his soul carries his memory, so he will not forget anything else. Just because of the formatting of his brain, his thinking ability has become stronger. Of course, it is inevitable to forget some small things, but living is better than anything else. Soon, things here are over. And Mo-Kyan's, because his ability is displayed in front of everyone, he can't pretend that nothing happened, he still has to report it. As for how the society will deal with Mo-Kyan, I don't know, just wait for the notice from the society. As long as Mo-Kyan is not a spy, it's easy to say anything. However, research must be done, and it won't work unless we understand it clearly. Of course, Mo-Kyan has been on Extreme Island for 3 years and has been a member for 1 or 2 years. His ability to develop his own abilities is really outrageous. It's very unnatural. In fact, in the eyes of others, he is equivalent to being infected with a trait, which is no big deal. However, this ability is really unbelievable. In Master Go's guess, Mo-Kyan should become a secret weapon. This secret weapon is actually similar to an elucidator, who does the work of an elucidator but does not have the title of an elucidator. Of course, elucidators also come from the secret weapon, but they have experienced more. If everyone knows him, then he will naturally become an elucidator. To put it bluntly, the secret weapon is to prepare the evangelist. After all, Mo-Kyan had proved with himself that his ability was harmless. However, this is also a scoring situation. If Mo-Kyan was an ordinary person, what would have happened before Mo-Kyan and the Blue and White Society established trust? Haha, it's very simple. After discovering that Mo-Kyan has this ability, he will be imprisoned directly, and then, he will master his information step by step. Because it is impossible for Blue and White Club to trust an ordinary person. It is even more impossible to let people like Mo-Kyan exile the contained objects. But Mo-Kyan's ability is what the Blue and White Society needs. The final result may be that Mo-Kyan blackmails the Blue and White Society with certain things, fights for his own rights, and then helps the Blue and White Society to work. But it's different if you become a member. Mo Kyung and Go Ye are partners who trust each other. After so many detention situations, they have become partners who trust each other. And during this doomsday journey, Mo Kyung also gained the trust of other members with his actions. It can be said that Mo Kyung has definitely done everything a club member should do, and he is definitely a qualified club member. Now that Mo Kyung has become a member and has mutual trust with the Blue and White Club, what if Mo Kyung has more abilities? It's yours, feel free to use it. The Blue and White Society will never restrict what Mo Kyung can do. As expected, after Mo Kyung returned, he met the arbitration and the dean of the research department. The name of the arbitrator is Cullen, and the name of the director of the research department is Kanan. Kanan is here to study Mo Kyung's abilities, and Cullen is here to see this junior and reassure Mo Kyung. Cullen directly asked Mo Kyung to try the absolute hit on him, shooting directly into the moon's best metal. Good guy, that's a convenience. As for an arbitration, allowing Mo Kyung to use his characteristics on him, this can already show the company's trust in Mo Kyung. Regarding this, Mo Kyung also felt warm in his heart. At the same time, with the arrival of Cullen, Dean Naganan no longer started with simple tests, but started directly with high-end gameplay. Let Mo Kyung teleport Sister Yu to a world where the time traveler was before. And that world is the future world. It's easy to get Sister Yu back. There is a contained object called fusion earrings, one is blue and the other is red. Just wear earrings and the two people will merge with each other. Even two unrelated ordinary people can fuse, but there is a price, and the thinking may be assimilated. It's different if it's a soulmate. It's a perfect fusion without any side effects. And Sister Yu and Master Go are soulmates. All you need to do is to have Master Go here and Sister Yu over there. If they want to come back, they will wear earrings and they will be able to merge. As for how to ensure that it will definitely come back from another world, rather than Earth's past, it's simple, because the new individual after the fusion will definitely be in the position of the red earring wearer. To put it bluntly, red earrings are a positioning. In fact, with this kind of thing, Mo Kyung can even shoot himself. Because he also has a soulmate, that is Chae Yoon. With Chae Yoon here, Mo Kyung can really travel across the multiverse, traverse the heavens, and even create new stronghold containment areas in other worlds. The Blue and White Club can completely form a time travel team led by Mo Kyung. However, now Chae Yoon is just a member of the Whiteboard Club. Although she has graduated a month ago, she is still mediocre. There is nothing outstanding. There is no MVP or best player in the game. She has not won the first alpha medal. The time travel plan is the most important thing. I would rather wait, let her practice it again. As for Chae Yoon, if she died during the mission, well, without Chae Yoon, Mo Kyung's time travel would be costly. Of course, it would be a pity if he sacrificed himself. There are also many containment objects in the society that can be traversed, but there is a certain price. Therefore, if Mo Kyung wants to travel across the world, he can do it without Chae Yoon. Soon, the test against Mo Kyung began. Let Sister Yu go to that future world, start various technological advancements, show off, acquire technology, and use the poor elements to exchange for a lot of things. She also asked that world to help contain a containment object that consumes a lot of gold. After that, Mo Kyung and Go Ye participated in some containment tasks. With Mo Kyung's absolute hit, there was no need to hide and tuck it in anymore, he could directly start locating the contained object. Then, under the instruction of the club, Mo Kyung challenged the best team and won a piece of best medal. Finally, the time travel team has gathered. The members of the time traveler team include Mo Kyung, Chae Yoon, Adams, Jong Long, Master Go and Sister Yu. Chae Yoon finally got her first alpha medal after Mo Kyung and the others did some tasks, so they recruited her. and Adams is actually the number one member of the best team. He is extremely skilled in controlling best metal. Of course, Mo Kyung also took away his best metal, and he also took away Luo Yan's best metal. Gee, these two guys are very complicated. And that Zhang Long is also a member of Best's team and a very powerful field medic. Needless to say, Master Go and Sister Yu. A group of 6 people formed a team of time travelers. And the first time traveling is to a world with the power of cultivating immortals. At this time, countless people in the world were able to see how far Mo Kyung and other club members would go against heaven when they reached a world where they could cultivate immortals. Mo Kyung shot an arrow directly through the sky, breaking the barrier between the mortal world and the immortal world. Later, he met a bear demon and figured out the way of cultivation in this world. Mo Kyung opened the Nguyen Palace in 1 second and entered the Yuanshen realm directly. After figuring it out, Mo Kyung helped everyone open the Nguyen Palace and directly helped everyone enter Taoism, and they all became practitioners. Later, he even caused trouble in this world of cultivating immortals. It can be said that as long as a club member can get started in a field, he is an extremely unparalleled existence, and his strength is simply invincible. Mo Kyung even developed a flash flying thunder god with Che Yun. Mo Kyung threw Che Yun to a place, and then during the battle, the two merged and flashed directly, making them invincible. After that, he traveled to an ordinary ancient world. Because they traveled through the world before and caused containment objects to appear in other worlds, it seemed that they had polluted the originally normal world into a world of containment objects. Therefore, they wanted to test it once to verify. Let Mo Kyung and the others conduct a time travel experiment, allowing ordinary people to time travel and see if there are any contained objects in those worlds. Well, naturally there will be no contained objects under normal circumstances. However, once it is linked to the blue and white society, even if it is just a D-class person who has just edited and entered his identity through time, it will affect that world. After that, Mo Kyung continued to become stronger, continued to complete tasks, and continued to strive on the eve of his career. They even took in a god who had created over 110 people and had a great deal of influence on people. He even regarded the god as a D-class personnel. In the end, Mo Kyung shot his soul into the moon's corpse and opened his eyes from the moon's corpse. Countless people saw the Queen of the Zerg, saw the 5th-generation president, saw Mo Kyung standing at the top, saw Mo Kyung become the supreme ghost. I saw Mo Kyung obliterating the queen. The name of the Black Emperor resounds throughout the heavens. And Mo Kyung truly became the president of the Blue and White Club. Mo Kyung even went to the Blue and White world and saw everything magnificent here. The supreme Blue and White world, always add 1 in the face of everything. However, Mo Kyung can always add 1 in front of the Blue and White interface. How strong is Mo Kyung today? It simply cannot be measured by ordinary methods of cultivating immortals. Because he has beyond dimensions, beyond dimensional interfaces, you can even edit information. This is no longer the concept of a saint, this is better than the way of heaven. Especially, in front of the blue and white interface that always add 1, he still always add 1, which shows how awesome he is. It can be said that he can be stronger than countless people at any time and anywhere, all he needs to do is shoot himself over. He even completely erased all the contained objects in their world from the information. As the saying goes, the Black Emperor's ultimate power. And at this time, just when Mo Kyung left the blue and white world and returned to the earth in his own dimension, he suddenly seemed thoughtful and seemed to see something. He smiled and said, "I'm getting married, are you coming?" He seemed to be having a conversation from a distance, as if he was talking to someone. At this time, countless people were stunned, looking at Mo Kyung who was speaking inexplicably from a distance. They were all a little surprised and at a loss. They didn't know who Mo Kyung was talking to. Even Mr. Go on the side was a little surprised and wanted to ask something. Immediately, Amo Kyung smiled slightly and said again, come to my wedding. At this moment, Amo Kyung seemed to have sent an invitation to someone. Well, you haven't been born yet at this time, but I already know the future information, so I will treat you as if you are attending the whole wedding, Amo Kyung spoke again. Well? Amo Kyung, who are you talking to? At this time, Mr. Go looked at Amo Kyung blankly. There were lights and colorful decorations here, and many people were busy. Obviously, Amo Kyung was getting married. The person getting married is naturally his soulmate who has been with and known each other for so many years. Chae-yoon is here. Of course, it is actually a wedding, and Chae-yoon is a wedding. But Amo Kyung is talking to whom, and inviting everyone. Master Go is a little confused about this. Amo Kyung smiled slightly, and said he called Wanjie. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 348. Wanjie. At this moment, countless people looked at Amo Kyung's abrupt words in the picture, and everyone was stunned. Wanjie? Damn it! Wanjie? Did I hear that correctly? Amo Kyung is actually talking about Wanjie. What the hell, Wanjie? It turned out to be Wanjie? Is it the same name or surname, or is it really the Wanjie we know? I'm so confused, it's Wanjie? How did Amo Kyung and Wanjie meet? Looking at it from beginning to end, I didn't see anything yellow. I was shocked by Amo Kyung's all-powerful and transcendent heavenly ghost before, and I was also shocked by the battle with the Zerg Queen, but I didn't expect that now I heard this Wanjie. Where did Wanjie come from? After Wanjie knew everything, he got in touch with Amo Kyung. No, this is not reality. This is still a picture, or a possible future derivation. How did Amo Kyung and Wanjie meet? Future. Amo Kyung was talking about the future. He said that he already knew the future information. In other words, the Wanjie that Amo Kyung was talking about now was the Wanjie of the future, not the Wanjie of the present. At this time, countless people were discussing crazily and watching everything happening in the picture. At this time, in the blue and white world. On Su Island, in arbitration Kalong's office, Amo Kyung and Goya looked at everything that happened on the screen and looked at each other, both of them a little surprised. That Wanjie, you can still contact him, Master Go looked at Amo Kyung, a little strange. Amo Kyung didn't say anything, just thought silently, thinking about everything he saw before. Although Wanjie's inventory has been a long time ago, he still remembers everything, including Wanjie's last encounter with him. A picture of a black wielder preparing for a duel. The black wielder's face was blurred and chaotic, and his black hair was dancing wildly. He seemed to be connected to countless dimensions. Just a glance made him feel very strong. However, it was not until today that he seemed to suddenly understand, that so-called maybe he is the one in charge? Because many things about Wanjie have not been explained, so he has not connected them. Until now, when he heard himself in the picture inviting Wanjie to the wedding, he understood everything in an instant. Got it. Uncle, what do you say about this? Master Go looked at Kalong and asked with a frown. What else can I say? Just do it as normal, Kalong chuckled, his big bald head shining brightly. Although Kalon has done a lot of things in the Dao Gold list and let them see a lot of things, for the Blue and White Club, he has never been like this. Focus on the future and focus on the present. Even if there is, it will only be prevention. Even after Kalon saw everything in the end, he may change his current thoughts. But, what should be done now? You know, Kalon in the future, he will be the 6th generation of Blue and White president, and Amo Kyung will be the 7th generation. With Amo Kyung accepting his fate, Master Go will still be the 8th generation. So, what is normal? What's the normal way? Master Go asked with a frown. Fortunately, you are still the 8th generation president appointed by Mo Kayang. Don't you understand that you should clean up the ground first, Kalong said with a smile. Global land washing? Forgot the blue and white club. I'm afraid this is a bit difficult, right? Mo Kayang paused for a moment. It's not about forgetting the blue and white society, but just letting these people think that the blue and white society is not in our world, and letting them think that it is in other universes, and this is easy to operate, Kalong chuckled. Some people don't need to clear their memories or distort them, but some people don't have access to the blue and white society. They want to distort and modify them very easily. Oh, are the 3 major presidents here? At this time, the Canaan minister walked in with a smile. After giving up, the 3 of them unanimously rolled their eyes. Okay, President 7th generation, this is your evaluation report, nothing else, just ask someone to clean up the place. Canaan placed a document in front of Mo Kayang, turned around and left with a smile. Mo Kayang, it seems that you are going to have a collision with Wanjie. After the collision, maybe you can get a reward, right? I don't know what this reward is, Master Go smiled and looked at Mo Kayang. It doesn't matter what it is. Mo Kayang is the leader. He can become extremely powerful even if he grows up normally. The depth of his absolute hits has no upper limit. He doesn't even know where the depth of his information is. It is simply true information. As long as he hears and sees, he can use everything in the world as an arrow. If he has microscopic vision, he can shoot microscopic things. If he has information vision, he can even shoot information directly. It doesn't matter whether he is rewarded or not, he just watches what happens in the picture. Everything, frowning in thought. At this time, the information world. Wanjie looked at everything happening in the picture and chuckled. The moment the rewards were handed out on the Deo Deo gold list, he already knew that the black man was Mo Kayang. He even predicted his final outcome. If he collides with Mo Kayang, he will only lose, and he will never win in 10 defeats. Even if he had obtained all the information about Mo Kayang and knew everything about Mo Kayang through information, he still could not win over Mo Kayang. Without him, Mo Kayang is too incomprehensible. If he ascends the dimension, Mo Kayang can also shoot himself to the same height, or even higher than him. Therefore, there is no chance of winning at all. However, not having a chance of winning is also a kind of chance of winning. Even, he knew the result and looked at everything in the picture expectantly. At this time, along with the crazy discussions in the world, and at the same time, in the picture. As Mo Kayang asked Master Go to add Wanjie's name to the wedding guest list, Mo Kayang also let Master Go see the so-called Wanjie. At this time, Wanjie, after obtaining infinite thinking, already knew everything. Goye could even clearly feel Wanjie's omniscience spreading throughout the interface. Immediately, Master Go nodded and went to add his name. Then, everyone saw that Mo Kayang created a body for Wanjie, and Wanjie only entered it with his thoughts, even if he could control it. Although the body he created was only at the level of an ordinary earthling, Wanjie still knew everything. Sit. Mo Kayang smiled. Omniscient and omnipotent, so awesome, Wanjie sat opposite Mo Kayang and looked at Mo Kayang with some emotion. Nothing. Mo Kayang shook his head. After all, there are limits. Now, my all-powerful characteristics are only a little higher than the Supreme. It's a little higher than the Supreme, but that's it? Mo Kayang's pretense made countless people in the world a little stunned. At this time, hearing Mo Kayang's words, Wanjie smiled and shook his head and said, but your absolute hit, no depth, no boundaries. So does your information perception, Mo Kayang nodded and said. But even if I have infinite thinking, the information I know is only the entire interface. The real information is more than that, Wanjie. Your perception characteristics are inexplicable, but your sensing methods are limited. Just like I have to complete the act of shooting, your perception is also closely related to the observation behavior. But the interface settings are like this: you can't perceive other interfaces, no matter how absolute the perceived characteristics are, it's useless, Mo Kyung said. Well, it seems you can go to other interfaces. Wanjie said suddenly and abruptly. Yes, having that thing is equivalent to knowing the coordinates of other interfaces. However, at the same time, you can also perceive other interfaces, Mo Kyung suddenly laughed. What the two of them were talking about was confused, and Mr. Go, who had just come back beside him, was stunned. That thing? Which thing? Master Go was stunned. Well, it is something that does not appear in this period of our history, something that everyone can observe, Mo Kyung said. It's called Dao Jinbang. At this time, countless people are looking at us. Wanjie also smiled and said. At this time, following the words of Wanjie and Mo Kyung, countless people in the world were stunned, with faces full of confusion and shock. Damn it, what's going on? Are these two people directly and inexplicably transcending history? Do you even know about the Great Dao Gold List? Are you sure this isn't true? But a story? Ah. Avenue Gold List? Isn't this something everyone knows? Do these two people know that this is not normal? Are you a normal ghost? Did you look carefully? These two people are equivalent to the people in the story. However, at this time, these two people in the story began to talk about things outside the story. Do you think this is super normal? This is so abnormal, obviously not normal. These two people are so strong, even in the story, they are aware of everything outside the story. Damn it, I really can't understand it, I can't understand it at all, my head hurts. I'm numb, I'm absolutely numb. At this time, countless people looked at all this in shock and discussed it wildly in the Dao Golden List. In this regard, Wanjie and Mo Kyung just smiled, and then there was no let's talk more about the Golden List of the Great Dao. Afterwards, Mo Kyung and Wanjie talked about some more things. Wanjie naturally wanted to establish a natural order and let nature take its course. As long as you work hard, there will be results, that's it. The law of heaven is running in the dark. And Mo Kyung is enforcing the order of the Black Emperor and the order of the Blue and White Society. He also agrees with Wanjie's idea, but he can't do nothing. Wanjie wants to achieve this, you have to defeat him. Only in this way can you prove that Wanjie has worked hard. If Wanjie really succeeds, in the future, it will become Wanjie's natural and Mo Kyung's characteristics. On the contrary, then Wanjie will die, and Mo Kyung still cares about his characteristics. As for the duel between Wanjie and Mo Kyung, this is different from the traditional duel. In a traditional duel, you have to fight to the death, and if you don't break a hole in the sky, you don't destroying the world, and not destroying diversity is not a strong person. Mo Kyung and Wanjie can easily do this. But they did not do this. Instead, they decided to win or lose with a game. That game is hide and seek. Wanjie wants to play hide and seek with Mo Kyung. This is his only chance of winning. Of course, this hide and seek looks childish, but the hide and seek of a strong man is different. The two of them are in different situations. Interfaces, different narrative layers, to transcend different existences. The two of them switched back and forth, flashed back and forth, and no one even knew where the two of them were hiding or where they were playing games. Even the Dao Gold List was not displayed. Where did the two of them go? We can only let Go Ye and Lin Li worry, waiting for the end of this hide and seek game. As for who will win? I don't know. Mo Kyung is omniscient and omnipotent, and Wanjie is also omniscient and insightful. Everything. It can be said that there is no place that they don't know. If there is, it is other interfaces. But the two of them will not hide in other interfaces, they will only wander around in the interface where they are, using their wisdom, even imagination, and even means, will ultimately affect the outcome of this game. No one can see what the two of them are doing. The world is in a daze, just waiting for the result to come. There are countless dazzled and smashing the chessboard in various ways. Kayan was briefly restrained, but when he could speak, he suddenly said, "You failed, Wanjie." As soon as these words came out, not only the pupils of everyone present shrank, but also the hearts of countless people in the world trembled. This Kayan is not Kayan himself. When he says this now, he is obviously conveying the meaning of this deity. And this at this time, Wanjie's voice also came from Lin Li. "Yes, you finally let me speak. There is indeed you who suppressed me at a higher narrative level. After all, from the very beginning, you have made your fault tolerance higher than mine by countless narrative levels." Lin Li has information about Wanjie. Obviously, Wanjie is using this information to talk to the current Kayan. However, listening to Wanjie's words, everyone's eyes widened and their hearts froze. Lost? Really lost? At this moment, everyone had complicated expressions. Lin Li and his group had an explosive mentality. Mr. Go believed in Kayan the whole time and just watched with a smile. And, one last chance, at this moment, Wanjie's words rang in Lin Li's mind. Lin Li was stunned for a moment, then overjoyed and said hurriedly, "Brother, tell me, I will fully cooperate." However, as he spoke, he hesitated again. He was afraid that this was Kayan's trick, and that the voice in his head was disguised by Kayan. For a moment, he became entangled again. "Okay, Lin Li, there's no need to think about it. What I said for the last time is that your identity can be verified. That was my real, final blow." Wanjie's voice sounded. Lin Li was overjoyed and quickly asked, "What is it? Just listen." Wanjie said, "Kill Kayan. Kayan is now in the lower narrative level. This is his identity. I only need to kill Kayan and I will win. And, you only get one chance. If you kill Kayan's true body, there's no point in suppressing my clone." "What?" Lin Li was stunned, and Che was shocked. Everyone looked at Lin Li, not sure why. Kayan, as if he knew what Wanjie was talking about, said calmly, "If you choose this step, I will definitely kill you, Huang Pol." At this moment, everyone fell into deathly silence and looked at Lin Li. Lin Li was so confused. He knew very well that Wanjie never killed people. He always saved people and never took the initiative to kill people. From beginning to end, no. Others died only because they did not listen to him. And once Wanjie chooses to kill, then he is no longer Wanjie, but becomes the demonic Wanjie, Lin Yohao. Wanjie who chooses to kill, is truly heaven-defying, truly invincible. Because it is too easy for him to kill someone. He is omniscient in information and is more absolute than anything else. At this moment, Lin Li was confused. He didn't know whether he should or not believe Wanjie's words, because Wanjie said that if he killed someone, he would no longer be him. Don't believe him at that time. However, this is the last way to win, that Wanjie said, the last blow. Lin Li is a pain. No need to worry about Lin Li, give me the control and let me do it. No time, Wanjie's voice sounded. Lin Li trembled. Believe me, Lin Li, there is no so-called demonic nature at all. Everything is just a character I created. From the beginning to the end, it was all my plan. This is my plan that spanned tens of millions of years. Everything is just for today, for let I became the golden destiny and became the true all-knower of true messages, Wanjie said. However, Lin Li was completely shaken. Is everything a bureau? However, he thought of Wanjie's words again. Wanjie once said that if he was defeated by reality and changed himself, then he would not be himself. Don't believe him. Be sure not to believe him. That's the magic yellow pole. At this moment, the memory in his mind and what Wanjie said now completely made Lin Li collapse. That is the collapse of contradiction. He doesn't know who to trust. After a long time, Lin Li said lonelily, brother, Golden Destiny, let's give up. Let's go home. Silent village. At this moment, Wanjie was silent. You still lost, Wanjie. At this moment, Mo Kyung suddenly spoke, and immediately his eyes were sharp. You know, if you become the devil Wanjie, even if there is only a slight possibility, I will not believe you. Because the demonic Huangji is something I can't predict, so I will definitely kill you. Complete and eternal death. At this moment, as the words fell, Mo Kyung deleted all Huangji's information from the entire interface in the next second. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 349. At this moment, as Mo Kyung deleted all information about Huangji, everyone was stunned and speechless. Just deleted it? Is this the final showdown between Huangji and Mo Kyung? Huangji failed in the end. I thought Huangji was invincible, but I didn't expect that he failed in the end. Sigh, what a pity, Huangji was deleted just like that. I'm numb, I'm really numb. The duel between these two guys is simply incomprehensible and unbelievable. I really don't understand, Huangji, ugh. Dead, just like that. No way. I don't believe Huangji died like this. I don't believe that Huangji died like this, but Mo Kyung's operation is absolutely impossible to make mistakes. Mo Kyung's all-powerful ghost is the apex of the interface. When he said to delete it completely, he meant to delete it completely. Moreover, who is Mo Kyung? We all know that if his temper can threaten his existence, he will never show mercy. The devilish Huangji is indeed a threat to him. Lin Li, sure enough, he still just believed in his memory of the perfect big brother. Killing people will hurt your heart, killing people will hurt your heart. At this time, countless people looked at everything that happened on the screen with complicated expressions. At this time, as Mo Kyung deleted the entire interface and all information about Huangji, everyone in Lin Li looked dejected and their faces were full of sadness. They were all affected by the information. Deleted, there is no possibility of a comeback. This is more absolute than ordinary death. Even if others die, there is still a soul. Even if the soul dies, there is still a true spirit. Even if the true spirit dies, there is still consciousness. Even if the consciousness is dead, and there is still information. But what if the information is also dead? Then there is nothing left. He is really dead, completely dead. Lin Li's heart was trembling, his face was broken, and he looked at Mo Kyung said in a trembling voice, "You killed my eldest brother. You killed my brother." At this moment, Lin Li went completely crazy. He was desperate to control everything in the universe and wanted to kill Mo Kyung. Then, he realized that he could not shake Mo Kyung at all. He is the Tai of this universe, equivalent to the entire universe. But despite this, he still couldn't kill Mo Kyung. This shows how strong Mo Kyung is. Enough. Mo Kyung looked at Lin Li and said calmly, "This is his own choice." When all possible information singularities did not appear, he could have stopped and waited for the next challenge. This is the so-called inevitable defeat. But he won't die. However, he wanted to win, and then took the path of the demonic Huangji. Huangji in the demonic state is unpredictable by me, and has exceeded the scope of my omniscience, so he must die. I have long said that if he takes this path, I will kill him. At this moment, everyone sighed. He gave you the final choice, Lin Li, you are his humanity. Mo Kayang looked at Lin Li. With Mo Kayang's words, Lin Li collapsed completely. Lin Li is very good, he is real, but this is him. From the beginning to the end, from the beginning to now, Wanjie has been protecting Lin Li in the end. Wanjie gave the choice to Lin Li. To put it bluntly, he gave the choice to his own human nature. Lin Li, who represented Wanjie's human nature, prevented Wanjie from entering the demonic nature. You don't have to feel guilty because you didn't let him down, just like he kept telling you. You did the right thing, you just didn't break fate and create a singularity. Some people comforted and sighed. Many people present already understood that this was not Lin Li's fault. But Lin Li just couldn't accept it. I don't understand, I can't understand. He shouldn't die like a loser, I don't accept that. He was bitter and crying, completely unlike what a Tai should be. In the end, he even wanted to die and wanted to be with Wanjie. However, at this moment, Mo Kayang stopped him. Haven't you discovered it yet? He is indeed dead, but he is not a failure. What? Lin Li was stunned. Didn't you notice that Tai's settings have been changed? Mo Kayang said calmly, there is also the road to perfect wisdom and the law of reincarnation of super souls. They have all appeared in the 10th dimension. Everyone was at a loss, a little stunned. Some people were moved in their hearts, and without saying a word, they quickly transcended dimensions. Sure enough, they really transcended to the 10th dimension. Brother is not dead, Lin Li was ecstatic. While resurrecting his former comrades, he observed the position of his eldest brother. However, there was nothing. Except that the world was a little different, there was no familiar figure at all. Even Mo Yun was resurrected. Mo Yun is actually Mo Kayang's daughter. However, in a certain period of history, Mo Yun saw Wanjie and planned to choose a time period to devote himself to Wanjie's history and become Wanjie's daughter, and assist him and finally embark on the ultimate path. At this time, Mo Kayang looked at Mo Yun and whispered, Wanjie is dead. Real death. This is like saying it to Mo Yun, and it also seems to be saying it to Lin Li. Real death? What is real death? It will never exist, it is everything except the concept of existence. This is the real death. Mo Yun opened his mouth, and for a moment, he didn't know what to say. So what? Mo Yun asked softly. Everyone also looked at Mo Kayang. Then Mo Kayang continued, actually, Wanjie is different from me. When I was in college, one day I suddenly found someone who was absolutely destined, and Wanjie, you are born with information perception. Everyone is thoughtful. So. Haha, my ability may leave at any time, just like he suddenly appears and disappears suddenly one day. But Wanjie was born with information perception. His birth and existence itself were the biggest information singularity. Mo Kayang continued, the true absolute characteristics, the content cannot be seen, and it is in the true unknown. It is the embodiment of the essence of information. No one can see through all this, except himself. Although Wanjie and I had deduced it a long time ago, we could not prove it. But now, after his death, the world has changed again, and I am sure. His innate characteristic is not called information perception, it is just a one-sided manifestation of this characteristic from death to living. I call it information knowledge. Following Mo Kayang's words, everyone felt confused at this moment. Not to mention them, even in all the worlds, countless people are a little confused at this moment and don't know why. However, just at this moment, Master Go suddenly understood and said, Mo Kayang, what do you mean? The basic information is instinct, the basic information is instinct. This is information itself, the definition of information. And what does the information instinct mean? It's like the information itself, the information itself. Because only the information himself knows all the information. To put it bluntly, Wanjie is inherently omniscient, because he is the information, he is the information itself. Wanjie's information knowledge includes everything, including the concept of not knowing, and the concept of unknown. In short, everything is it. In the beginning, information was known to be dead, but when it became Wanjie, it became alive. And moving from death to living is from omniscience to ignorance. Because Wanjie who becomes a human being and Wanjie who is just born is in a state of ignorance and everything needs to be observed to see. The continuous growth after that can be said to be that he is recovering himself. But living is living, and Wanjie as a human being can never compare to him in the information state. Wanjie's transformation from death to life itself is the biggest singularity. And from living to dying is also an even greater singularity. To put it bluntly, although Wanjie died, he still succeeded. Because, he went from the state of living to the state of death, and returned to the state of information. Moreover, Wanjie's dream came true, the universe changed, and Wanjie seemed to have truly achieved his golden destiny. However, this person named Wanjie will never come back. Woohoo, no, brother, Linli was crying. He understood what Mokian meant. It meant that Wanjie was everything in this universe, even everywhere. However, he just couldn't accept it. He can't accept that a man named Wanjie, who is his eldest brother, is dead and missing. He doesn't care whether Wanjie succeeds or not. It is not his dream to have a golden destiny. He, Bikf, just wants his eldest brother to live. As Tai, don't cry anymore, suddenly, a familiar voice resounded throughout the audience. Linli was stunned and raised his head suddenly. Mokian even showed an expression of surprise, looking at the figure that appeared out of thin air in astonishment. At this moment, everyone turned their heads suddenly and looked at the figure that suddenly appeared. But what they saw was a gentle face, always maintaining a calm expression. The familiar face with a gentle smile. Who is this but Wanjie? Familiar smile, familiar temperament. At this time, countless people in the world were dumbfounded. Wanjie died and came back. Damn it, what the hell is this? What is going on? Whoa, I'm stupid. It's hard for me to accept that Wanjie is dead, but now, all the information about Wanjie has been deleted by Mokian, and he is still alive. What's going on? No, didn't you listen to Mokian? Wanjie is the knowledge of information, and the state of death does not exist at all, okay. Because he is also in the state of death. What does it mean? I really can't figure it out, I can't understand it. Can anyone explain it? Let's put it this way, in terms of our cultivating immortality, heaven is reincarnated into a human being, knowing everything and knowing everything, but it is only limited by the shackles of the human body itself. Only by becoming stronger can more secrets be unlocked. He has no death, because death itself is the state of returning to the way of heaven. He is the way of heaven. Even the concept of death itself is him, so how can he die? Wanjie, this is the state. Damn it, when you say that, it seems like this is really the case. The way of heaven is Wanjie, and Wanjie is the way of heaven. Damn it, I understand now that Mokian let Wanjie die to return to the state of heaven and the state of information. And because Wanjie has walked and been in this human world, he has returned to the state of information. Recondensed into human form and resurrected at any time. Damn it, this is true invincibility. At this time, countless people sighed, looking at Wanjie with a gentle and healing smile in the picture, their hearts were trembling. The golden destiny really appeared. Wanjie is the golden destiny. At this moment, the picture completely frozen. At the same time, lines of divine patterns also appeared on the screen. Second place concept gold finger. Representative 4, Amokayan in the Blue and White World. He is a member of the Blue and White Club and the Black Emperor of Jedi Tiantong. He is the 7th generation president and the supreme leader of the Black Emperor Dimension Interface. From the time when he was a weak mortal, he strengthened himself and became the strongest step by step, fighting for the cause of shelter. He is cautious and bold. He fights for all mankind, for the entire interface. The so-called Black Emperor conquers the world, and the ultimate heavenly power. It is said that all the world is white, but I am the only one who is black. This is Black Emperor Amokayan. Hereby, give out rewards. Buzz. At the same time, with the appearance of divine patterns in the Deo Gold list, the screen turned. In the screen, there was an office. Inside were the familiar K Long and Go Ye, as well as Amokayan. The 3rd generation president, Chi gathered together. At this moment, with the moment when the divine pattern fell, everyone turned their heads and looked at the Deo Golden list. Haha, Amokayan, what reward do you think you can get? Master Go looked at Amokayan with a smile. Who knows? Amokayan shrugged, quite unconcerned, and then said, if possible, I would rather not receive a reward. Gee, me too, Master Go also nodded. In fact, in their opinion, they don't know what this great Deo Gold list is, and they don't know if it is a containment object. Others may be eager to get rewards, but Amokayan and Master Go just want to contain this thing. The impact of this thing is really too great. But there is no way. They tried countless ways to contain this thing, but they just couldn't contain it. In the end, they could only hold their noses and admit it. Now this reward, doesn't want it? No. Sigh. Amokayan sighed, his expression a little complicated. At this moment, buzz, in an instant, a golden light fell in front of Amokayan. Before Amokayan could recover, the golden light penetrated directly into Amokayan's body. Well. At this moment, Amokayan felt that his physique had become stronger, and his body was gradually becoming terrifyingly powerful. However, the growth of this body is still within the allowable range of the earth. In other words, his muscles are growing rapidly and his bones are becoming extremely thick. After a long time, Amokayan slowly opened his eyes. A little light flashed in his eyes, as if he could see more. At this time, he felt that even under normal conditions, his vision was comparable to that of an eagle's eye. If you turn on the eagle eye, you will only be stronger. He is strengthening in all aspects and becoming stronger in all aspects. This is just him, the most important thing is the change in his absolute hit. How about it? Amokayan, at this time, Mr. Go looked at Amokayan with a concerned look on his face. He was very worried, for fear that something would go wrong with Amokayan. Not bad. Amokayan spoke softly, and immediately looked at his hands, his eyes twinkling thoughtfully. Has your ability improved? What is it? Quick, try it, Master Go said with a smile and patted his chest. Obviously, this meant that he was here to be the guinea pig. Well, how should I say it? Amokayan thought for a while, and then gently stretched out his hand to push Master Go. Master Go was ready to be exiled. Unexpectedly, he stood motionless. As for Amokayan, his body started to slowly retreat, and he even lifted his feet off the ground and slowly flew back. You. Master Go was stunned and looked at Amokayan with a confused face, completely dumbfounded. Just listening, Amokayan said with a faint smile, the effects of force are mutual. When I push you, I will also feel the reaction force. Now, I can decide whether the first force triggers an absolute hit, or the second force, the reaction force, triggers an absolute hit. In other words, I can shoot myself. Taking stock of the top 10 golden fingers, the protagonist of Wanjie went crazy. Author, Chirp. Chapter 350. At this moment, Countless people looked at the picture of Mo Kyan, who expressed that he could shoot himself, and all felt their scalps go numb. Mo Kyan's absolute hits are already terrifying, but now, he can also selectively hit with absolute hits. Is it okay to use the reaction force to hit absolutely, or shoot myself directly? Originally, according to normal growth, Mo Kyan could reach the highest level. As long as he had a relevant perspective, he could become very strong. Now, Mo Kyan's future will only be stronger. Alas, invincible, Mo Kyan dang really invincible. An absolute hit, coupled with the reaction force to achieve an absolute hit, hey, I can't imagine Mo Kyan's upper limit. Even if it's just an ordinary absolute hit, Mo Kyan has no upper limit, right? The almighty transcendent ghost is no joke. This reward is getting more and more terrifying. I had been thinking about what reward Mo Kyan would get, and I couldn't figure it out no matter how hard I tried, until I saw Mo Kyan's absolute hit using reaction force. Tisk, scary. This conceptual golden finger is so perverted, it's so humming incomparable. It's completely incomparable, I don't even know what to think about it. It's numb, my scalp is really numb. However, Wanjie is still against the sky. Is it okay to directly transform into the Great Road? Laughing to death, is that a matter of Deo's transformation? By the way, are there any other conceptual cheats? Mo Kyan is the fourth one, is there any fifth one? Tisk, that's not very clear. At this time, countless people were discussing. And at the same time, in the fighting spirit world. Well, it's getting scary. Xiao Yan looked at everything that happened in the Dao Golden List. From Mo Kyan, the Black Emperor, who unified the interface and controlled countless dimensions, to Wanjie, the incarnation of information, living towards death and dying towards life, it was simply horrible. This made him, a guy who took the ordinary route, feel his scalp numb. Mo Kyan's absolute hit and Wanjie's information perception were just like plug-ins. He had no chance of winning in front of these two people. If the previous conceptual ability is still auxiliary, here it becomes an absolute attack and kill. The question is, how can he resist the absolute hit? The question is, how can he block information perception? It is our tragedy to live in the same era as these people, Xiao Yan lamented. Xiao Yan is just a genius in a single world. Even if he can eventually be promoted to a very strong level, he is very defiant. However, that is just the natural side. No matter how defiant the natural side is, facing Mo, how can he withstand such an absolute hit? If someone touches him and teleports him directly to another dimension, or directly imprisons him in best metal, what can he do? Teleport. Well, fighting Saint can indeed, you can teleport, but so what? There is really no way for the natural side to surpass the abnormal side. That is an absolute crushing. At this moment, Xiao Yan's expression could not help but darken. Boy, you are not on the same level as them, so stop thinking about comparing with these guys, think about how to compare with those normal guys. Yao Zun's voice was also filled with emotion. He was really frightened after seeing Mo Kyan and Wanjie duel at various narrative levels, infinite heights and infinite dimension advancement. Normal people only play with ordinary energy, and they go away, they are all ordinary and natural things. But what about these two people? The late stage is simply terrifying. Even if the two of them are not in the late stage now, maybe they are only in the early and middle stages, they are not something that ordinary people can deal with. Well. Xiao Yan smiled bitterly. That being said, those guys are also geniuses. In his mind, he thought of Han Li, Wang Lin, Li Qi, Gu Yufang Yuan and other monsters, as well as Shi Hao, Ye Fan. Wait. He just feels a lot of pressure. At the same time, in the world of Jishan. Well, this is definitely a hit. Ye Fan looked at the Avenue Gold list and his breathing stagnated slightly. This is an absolute hit, it's incredible. This kind of conceptual ability is simply incomprehensible. But, fortunately, Mo Kyung is not in a late-stage state now. Not to mention the state of Boluj's body after defeating the Zerg Queen, even the state of the three-eyed tribe that was subsequently fused with Chae-yun was already incredible. Whether Mo Kyung is strong or not, what restricts him is not his physical quality, but simple observation and perception. As long as he has all 9 senses, he is truly invincible. Not bad now. Although Mo Kyung's current physical fitness seems to have been strengthened in all aspects, he is still in the category of a normal person. At least, in some invisible areas, Mo Kyung couldn't compete with them. For example, he can cast a curse. As long as Mo Kyung does not cultivate immortality, he can still use his soul to attack. Oh no, as long as Mo Kyung activates his spiritual power, it will be difficult for him to attack with his soul. However, in general, Mo Kyung is not unsolvable at this time. When he encounters Mo Kyung, he has a 50-50 chance of winning. As long as Mo Kyung doesn't have forbidden magic characteristics, then he has a better chance of winning no matter what. After all, Mo Kyung is still just a mortal, just an ordinary person. He would never dare to touch Mo Kyung in the later period, but he is still confident that he can touch Mo Kyung now. At this time, the Li mansion in the 10 Cold World. This young man is really awesome. Li Jing looked at Mo Kyung in the picture with some emotion, and took a sip of tea. Jedi heavenly power? Black Emperor of the world? From then on, nature returned to nature, and abnormality returned to Black Emperor? Oh no, it has changed again now, natural Gui Huangji, and unusually Gui He Emperor, these two guys. He was very emotional. In his mind, Mo Kyung's many development and manipulation of absolute hits sounded, and he couldn't help but focus on the new man next to him. On the forged sword. Is this considered an absolute characteristic? 100% chance of being caught with an empty hand. What is this not a characteristic? If Mo Kyung can use absolute hits to teleport people to other worlds, and contained objects can also cross the heavens or used to influence others. Then if he is 100% caught with his bare hands, can he cross the heavens to pull people over? Now, he has practiced to the point where he can designate who will take the sword. However, in the past, he just used it casually and never thought of crossing the heavens to ask someone to pick up the sword. But now, it seems that he can try it. There was something in his heart. Clang. At this moment, the long sword was unsheathed, and he slowly closed his eyes. In his mind, he observed the appearance of a person, designated this person to take the sword, and then, buzz. The long sword fell instantly, and in the blink of an eye, a figure appeared in front of him, and then he clasped his hands together. Snapped, the long sword was instantly caught by a pair of hands. Look at the man again, with black hair and black eyes, wearing a black combat uniform, tall, with a slightly handsome face. This man is clearly Mo Kyung. Am I a good boy? It really worked. Li Jing looked at Mo Kyung, who appeared in front of him with a confused face. At this time, Mo Kyung was confused. Previously, he was still trying to hit the target with Go Ya, but as a result, he felt his eyes blur, and he appeared in front of him. In an antique study room, opposite, there is an old man with a mustache. Who is this person if not Li Jing? At this time, it is not just Mo Kyung and Li Jing, the person involved is K Long, the person involved is Go Ya, and even the heavens countless people in the world are stunned. Because at this time, in the Dao Golden List, in the picture, it is Mo Kyung kneeling on one knee, clasping his hands, catching Li Jing's sword. Silence. At this moment, all the world was deathly silent. Countless people thought it was about to end. After all, the inventory was finished, the rewards were distributed, and they were just waiting to see who would be counted next. As a result, At this critical moment, something unexpected happened again. With one strike of Li Jing's sword, Mo Qian was directly dragged into the cold world. Damn it, what the hell is this? Countless people's scalps went numb. At this time, in the spiritual world of the mortal world. Wow, Han Li stood up in an instant, staring at the Daojin list. Looking at the dreamy linkage between Li Jing and Mo Qian in the picture, everyone was dumbfounded. This, for a moment, he didn't even know what to say. Horror. It's so scary. What kind of monster is this Li Jing? He actually dragged Mo Qian over? This thing is separated from all the heavens and worlds, but separated from the endless universe. Just pulled it over? Call. After a long time, he breathed out a long breath and forced himself to calm down. At the same time, his eyes became sharp. Li Jing can drag Mo Qian to his own world. In other words, Li Jing can actually drag him there? Even if Li Jing has seen him, he can pull him over? This conceptual ability is really terrifying. In a vast world composed of 1,000 worlds. Well, these guys have you using your conceptual abilities to the fullest. Li Changshao looked at the two guys with completely different painting styles, Li Jing and Mo Qian, in the same photo frame, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. It's obvious to all how well Mo Qian has developed his absolute hit. That means he can shoot anything, as long as he observes it, even microscopic particles, even information, he can shoot it. In the end, he became an all-powerful transcendent ghost, which is simply more heaven-defying than any saint. Then it is the existence of controlling an interface. What is an interface? This concept still needs to be figured out, but it is definitely very powerful. Now, here comes another one. Although Li Jing's ability in this world seems a bit low, in fact, just thinking about it when I think about it, I feel very frightened when I think about it. I am simply invincible. Those who have hands will 100% be killed with bare hands. Those without hands will 100% be killed instantly. Once you practice to the depths, can you even kill information instantly? Anyway, these things, don't dare to think about, can't think about. At the same time, in the mysterious world. Well, these two guys actually bumped into each other. Klein's mouth twitched as he watched everything happening on the screen. One is an absolute hit. One is 100% beaten with bare hands. If these two guys cooperate with each other, wouldn't they be able to travel through all the worlds? Zero asking for flowers. Oh, not necessarily. Mo Qian himself can control the reaction force and let the reaction force trigger an absolute hit. In other words, he can also travel through the heavens himself. Mo Qian is just a time-traveling machine. Of course, Mo Qian and Li Jing are different. Moreover, their abilities are different. I wonder what kind of sparks will come out of the collision between these two people? He couldn't help but feel a little interested as he thought about it, and looked at the Dao Golden List. At this time, among the Dao Golden List, General Li, at this time, Mo Qian was still a little dazed and looked at Li Jing in front of him in confusion. Even with his strong calmness as a member of the club, he was still a little confused. Ahem, Li, just give it a try, just give it a try. Li Jing looked at Mo Qian with a guilty conscience, quickly put away his sword, smiled and helped him sit up quickly, don't be restrained. Li Jing naturally knew who Mo Qian was, and admired Mo Qian. These members would definitely not turn against each other, so they hurriedly helped Mo Qian up. Mo Qian also stood up and sat across from Li Jing in a daze. He looked at the teapot in front of him and twitched the corner of his mouth. Finally, he regained his composure and roughly understood what happened. Immediately, he looked at Li Jing and sighed with emotion. I didn't think your ability was anything before, but until now, I can't believe that the depth of your information is so unfathomable. Depth of information. Li Jing thought for a while and quickly shook his head. Li doesn't think that his information depth is very high when he is 100% picked up empty-handed. Perhaps, it is the reward given by the Dao Golden List that makes Li's information depth infinitely higher. Got it? Haha, that's the case. Mo Qian thought for a while and asked with a smile, General Li, do you want to be a guest at the Blue and White Club? Li Jing's eyes lit up and he hurriedly said, I wish you could do it. Well. Mo Qian smiled, stood up, and planned to retreat Li Jing to the Blue and White world. However, at this moment, Daddy, a soft cry came from outside the study room. Mo Qian turned his head, and saw that the terrifying figure of Neza blocked all the shadows outside the door. The muscular man who looked like a mountain of flesh could be seen from the corners of his eyes. Twitch. Although Mo Qian had already understood how outrageous Neza was through the Great Dao Gold List, seeing it with his own eyes gave him a different feeling. Oops, we have guests, Neza looked at Mo Qian with some curiosity. With his child's nature, he naturally did not understand the Great Dao Golden List, and naturally had no interest in seeing the Great Dao Golden List. Maybe he was interested in seeing it before, but after seeing it too much, he just played with himself. Went. Of course I don't know about Mo Qian. This is a dog, it's funny, Li Jing spoke quietly. No problem. Mo Qian rubbed his eyes and said immediately, General Li, let's get started. Good. Li Jing nodded, and then said, Brother, when Li arrives, I will pull you over as soon as possible. For it. Mo Qian paused for a moment, thinking of kneeling down on one knee before, clasping his hands together, and taking the blade with his bare hands. The corners of his mouth twitched, and he said speechlessly, I'd better do it by myself. Fine, Li Jing didn't force it either. Huh? Daddy, where are you going to play? Neza is going to. Neza seemed to have heard something and cheered excitedly. Neza, Li Jing's face was serious and he was about to scold him. This is no child's play. No problem, Neza is the same. Mo Qian said with a smile. As he spoke, he couldn't help but look at Neza's terrifying bulk. Although he already knew that this was due to the modification of the time machine. But there was no guarantee that Neza also had something absolutely certain. Features, so. Let's go, Mo Qian smiled and pushed Li Jing gently. Li Jing disappeared immediately with a swipe. Hey, Daddy is gone, Neza blinked and looked at Li Jing, who disappeared out of thin air. Neza, let you go find your daddy, okay? Mo Qian asked with a smile. Okay, Neza smiled. Then. As Mo Qian stretched out his hand, Neza also disappeared. And Mo Qian, after looking at the empty study room, also smiled, gently pushed the wall, feeling the reaction force. He also disappeared in an instant, and when he appeared again, already standing at the headquarters of the Blue and White Society. At this time, countless people looked at everything that happened in the picture, and they were all filled with emotion. What else did they want to see? However, at this moment, the picture in the Dao Gold List was completely freeze. Countless people's expressions froze, and the corners of their mouths twitched crazily. Damn it! It's gone now. Countless people's faces were dark. Where did this go? It's gone? The corners of their mouths twitched, and they were about to curse, when they saw it. In the picture, a new divine pattern appears. The inventory of the 4 representative characters of the second conceptual gold finger is over. The 5th representative figure of the second conceptual gold finger, let's start counting. The 5th representative figure of the second place conceptual golden finger, Li Huang in the Taoist world. Inch.